Let's get started.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
Do not attempt to adjust your dial. I'm transmitting live. Yo,
Let's get down to business.
Now let's get it all in perspective. We did it like that, and now we do it like this.
All right.
for the underground world, every street and borough.
You may learn something.
Experience.
You are now listening to the Joe Rogan Experience Experience with Chico, Simon, Kamar, and your host, Matt Floyd.
Welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience Experience. My name is Matt Floyd. How do I do this? My name is Matt Floyd, joined as always by Kamar.
However you like to do it. Welcome to the party.
That is your name.
And Simon.
What is going on?
Jesus, I had like a fucking aneurysm there. What we do here is very simple. The three of us listen to every episode of the Joe Rogan Experience this week. We're going to rate each episode as well as the week on a scale of 1 to 5 Jamie Vernons. We're then going to talk about each guest, the talking points, give our opinions, this, that, and the next. But first order of business is for Kamar to go over the new patrons, if there are any.
Hello, new listeners, old listeners. A lot of pushback from the mandate I tried to impose last week, so I just want everyone to know I'm removing the mandate. You can join the Patreon on free will. That being said, big shout out to Michael Joseph, all the way from Scotland, you fucking bastard.
Oh, Mike, yes.
That
He was the one that,
the worst accent ever.
I know, and I worked on it all week.
wasn't a Scottish.
I was
You
gonna
worked
go
on
with
that?
cheap fucking bastard.
No, that's not even
what?
close.
That's like some fucking American accent.
Baby back.
Scottish is more...
Yeah, sorry.
Scottish.
McDonald's.
That's a little better.
Have yourself some haggis, you,
Michael Joseph.
you wee
Okay,
cunt.
we're getting there.
It's never going to be there.
We're getting
Anyways,
there.
thank
Mine
you so
wasn't that
much.
great either.
And thank you so much to all the
Thank
Patreons.
you,
I love you guys'
Michael
work.
Joseph. I won't even try and butcher your.
I only sleep at night because of the
Language.
Patreons.
Does anyone have an answer to this? Is there a limit to Patreon?
Like how many Patreons you could have?
No, I know there's no limit to that. I meant to the amount of content. Because I'm pretty sure he was like, yeah, there's 100 episodes in total. And I was like, there should be more than that. But maybe I'm
Oh,
wrong.
you're thinking the early stuff, the really amazing stuff we did on Patreon is being
I just want to
bumped
make sure that you can go back and access everything.
the
That'd be a
early
concern.
stuff, the really amazing stuff.
up. There's some amazing content on there. Someone pointed out 141 is the best post-show ever.
141.1, yeah.
141.1.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what they're talking about.
I've been listening to this Bigfoot podcast, like I told you guys, pretty religiously, and they keep quoting this, or not quoting, but talking about this episode with these two brothers. So I was finally like, oh, I gotta listen to this episode with the two brothers, episode 494. So I go to find out what the episode was on Reddit, 494, and the guy's like, or it was 297, and the dude was like, yeah, and 494 is amazing too. Check that one out. Like, not to me, to the Reddit board. So I went to find those two, and they both weren't in existence because they're members only.
Paywall.
Oh.
Paywall.
And that's
Simon
where
got
you pump the
paywall.
brakes.
I have to make a big decision now. I've never.
You've never gone on to OnlyFans
Never.
or anything like that?
No, I've never paid extra content for like extra content.
Yes. I have.
So, well, we know you have. You bought fucking Hotep Jesus' book.
Yeah, that's a horrible example, but I've also been sucked into some OnlyFans and and the like. But I've never.
I mean, it feels like a
Our
tough trap.
Patreon
It
is
feels
the
like a
only
tough
Patreon
trap
I've
for a
joined.
Here's my question, though. Like, porn's free.
Yeah. But I'll watch an interview for an hour on like No Jumper with this girl,
Gotcha.
and
Okay.
I just get
Gotcha.
sucked in. And I want to see her naked.
Kamar, I don't know if you know this, what you probably do. He loves the realism of it. Like,
Yes.
Vine was Kamar's favorite because
Yes.
there you were seeing like
Yes.
girls who were, it was
R-A-W.
it was almost porn, not quite,
In
but it
real
was
time.
enough for
It was
Kamar
raw.
to
It was
jerk
raw.
off to.
It was real and raw.
It was real and raw.
It's my affliction.
It's okay, man.
So, Kamar, how was your week?
Slow week because this is my first week of my self-imposed lockdown. Waiting to get the next shot,
But why are you self-imposed? I don't get it.
You have to have 2 shots to go anywhere.
So you're not going to work or anything?
Oh, I get it. No, you're going to work.
No, you can go to work. I go to Walmart. I can go to stupid place, but any concert,
First of all,
football game.
it's not a self-imposed lockdown. They're making you.
Had I got the shots earlier, I would be like the cool kids going.
I will say this, though.
Self-imposed.
Like the cool kids. Yeah, for sure.
I was under the impression, not to say I'm for it, but I was under the impression that you needed this passport to go anywhere.
No, it's just anywhere you're going to go.
Yes,
and
now-
go
Retail
and
stores
stay.
are. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If it's
It's not a health measure. It's completely to force people to get vaccinated.
well, it's not a health measure anyway because employees don't have to get vaccinated.
Exactly.
So
Well, it is a health measure, and the employee is not getting vaccinated. It is
Okay, fine. It's a health measure. What he's saying is-
loophole in the.
Sure.
You
They
know,
had a hot mic on the
Constitution or
Israeli health minister who's saying this is just sheerly to get people vaccinated. It's not changing anything, and we only want people who are vaccinated in a place that's not going to make a change.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
my point was simply I had my initial assumption of this fucking vaccine passport was that you weren't going to be allowed to like go grocery shopping or anything like that without.
Well, that would be too far.
You can.
Yes, of course.
I think it's too far already, but that would be just ridiculous.
There are, believe it or not, as to Joe's dismay, even we have certain things in our. I
Yes,
don't
we
know
do have
if
a
it's
constitution. We
constitution
do
or
have
whatever,
human rights.
Where, yeah, they can't just
Yeah.
blatantly trample over.
So
your
all that
rights.
being said is I've been at home a lot. But on Friday, I was scootering home right by Gladstone and Somerset, right by the skate park.
Yeah, Charlie.
And as I'm going, this guy just pulls right out, and I have to swerve, and it was a big curb. And I think I sort of panicked and grabbed the brake and just went
Ass over tea kettle.
ass over tea kettle, so much so that all the skaters were like, whoa! And I found something about myself. I don't like attention like that.
Yeah, that's called bad attention.
Like I picked up the scooter and ran off. Like I didn't go, hey buddy, look where you're going. I was humiliated and just sort of wanted to vacate the scene.
Dude, when I lived in Montreal, I lived at the top of, it was a 1-block hill, like 1 block this way, but it was steep as fuck. And I always looked
Montreal
at
is
it.
hilly.
I always looked at it and was like, because I didn't really skate at the time, but I had a skateboard. And one day I was like, you know what? I got to go to the store. I'm going to take my board. And I got on like not even at the top, like 3/4 of the way down, did a few power slides like to check my speed. And dude, then I was just like, fuck this. I got this. Like I used to skate. And I started, dude, by the time I got to the bottom, I was going Mach 10 and it just goes into a straight T, the street. I had to gazelle off. I ate shit so hard.
Like people.
Oh, dude, like 4 girls came up. It was like in the movies where you wake up and like you look up and there's
no.
like 4 heads above you. Yeah, there was like all these girls above you. Like, are you okay? Oh my god! I was like you. I was like,
humiliating, right?
I was like, I have to pick up my shit and run away from
You
here.
don't want the pity. You
That's
don't want
how Matt
anything.
met Mary.
No
way. Wow.
No, that is not how I met Mary.
Anyway, slow week, a bit of painting and stuff and whatnot. But actually, I'm painting right beside the Governor General's estate. And you know that guy tried to break in because I guess Trudeau was living there. He went in with a gun.
Okay.
And it's got all this new security and like some guy sitting in a box in the middle of, you know how big it is. Right?
Sniper's nest. Yeah.
Or whatever. I just wondered, like, it's the easiest job you could possibly imagine, just sitting there on Twitter or whatever. But yeah, slow week for me. What can you say?
Simon, how's your week, sir?
My week was okay, Matt. I got a couple of things I'd like to discuss with y'all.
Now, I just have a question for you.
Yeah.
The way the show is supposed to go. Now, it's your show too, so you can do whatever the fuck you want with your time. But the way I always saw it was you did a how's your week?
Yeah.
And then we just got into the show.
Okay.
And then all these points that you have, when Kamar during the post show says, do you guys have anything to talk about? That is your cue then. He's so mad at me.
No, I like where you're
please,
going
go
with this,
on.
Matt.
Well, I was just saying is the post
This
show
has
is
merit.
the post show is supposed to be the time where we talk non-Joe stuff and bring up all of our qualms. Is that now? Keep in mind, it's your time. So if you want to,
asked
what
me
grinds your
how
gears,
my week was.
yeah. And then
I'm
you
gonna
said I have a
tell
few
you
things I want to discuss with you guys.
about
That's
how my week
listen.
was.
I said right off the jump. I'm not trying to judge. You can. It's your time.
Sounded pretty.
You're telling me
judgy.
that my post-show material is really weak, and it'd be better if Simon could have some.
No, I'm saying
Stuff
that you
to-
I
asked.
mean,
fill it
that
up.
I agree with.
There it is. There it is. I see what you're doing. I like that.
But I
Passive
think,
aggressive.
I think I
You
could-
wanna
talk
I
about
think
misunderstood?
I
Here
think
we
I
go.
could do both.
How was your week, Simon?
My week was okay, Matt. Thanks for asking. Somebody invited me to go hunting, which is interesting.
Family member.
They don't know you very well.
Not a family member, but like somebody I've known for a really long time.
Or
Now lives back around.
Friend of the
town
family.
hunting for.
yeah. Yeah.
We've always said this is an opportunity.
Yeah, so I'm really at kind of a crossroads as to what I should do.
Wait, you didn't just say yes off the jump?
No, I said
Interesting.
that's interesting. Let me.
What is your role?
ponder it.
You don't have a gun license, right?
What is my role?
If you were to go hunting.
I see. Well, I'd have to get my gun license.
Or you just go as an observer.
could go as an
They
observer.
want to sell the meat as kosher. So
yeah,
they need him there.
need me there. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I don't think I'm gonna go.
Next year.
I don't know. Just
Why is it that you aren't going
I
to go?
don't
Because of the
really-
gun license? Because you seem this seems like something
it's
that's
the way
is a lot of work.
they hunt. They put out like
like traps.
blinds and
Yeah.
feeding things and
Sit and wait.
I think I want to go on like if I'm gonna hunt one day, I think I want to go on like you know,
Stalk your prey.
yeah, I want to go hunt and camp and do the whole thing.
I think you should do it.
How are you going
Regardless.
to? But like, let's say it's like a weekend thing. How are you going to not smoke weed for a whole weekend?
Well, you can't smoke weed when you hunt.
I don't believe you can.
Yeah,
And
why
then
can't
if you
I
don't shoot a
smoke weed
gun.
when I hunt?
Because of the smell.
Well, okay, fine. I'll take like edibles or something.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure I could.
Guy's the worst hunter in the world. He's just up in a tree stand high out of his
Sober
gourd.
But I
Simon
think
would be
I'm
the-
gonna. I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna smoke weed.
Simon would be the
I would-
worst hunter sober. What the
It's
fuck?
true,
There's no
yeah.
deer. We've been here for fucking
I
2
can
hours.
Get, I can get one of those smoke buddies. Have you ever seen those things? You like,
Yeah. For the, like the dorm rooms and shit. Yeah.
yeah. You know, we used to do them back when we were kids with.
Yeah,
like,
we made them
toilet
with
paper
bounty
rolls
and toilet
yeah.
paper.
Is that Ontario or Quebec?
Where you would be hunting, I believe he's asking.
Oh, it's Ontario. It's just outside.
Because
of,
I guess the gun license thing is federal. Like it's not like you have to do it in Quebec or Ontario.
No, I don't know. I think it might be.
I don't know. This is opening a whole new thing.
Oh,
We've
a
never-
gun license.
Gun
That
license,
might
I
be
believe,
a hunting
is
permit though might be
federal, yeah.
provincial.
You get a tag or whatever
Yeah.
it is. I think
As you
do
can
it.
tell, we know jack shit about this.
We've done a lot of research.
You okay, Simon? You
Oh no, he's got something.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing was, yeah. So what's grinding my gears, and I was telling Matt a little bit about it last night because we watched the fights, but I saw like the most interesting news story this week. I'm sitting there, I'm reading it, and I realized like I can't trust this. I can't trust anything anymore.
We're lost.
Yeah. No, but
Is it because of the source?
I liked it better. It was just because
No, it had nothing to do with the source. He just meant like in general
In
now.
general.
You cannot take in any info.
Not the day of.
not the day of, yeah. But I liked it way better years ago
When you could believe
when I
something?
just blindly believed things. I think that was just
Ignorance is bliss.
yeah.
yes.
I was easy. It was much easier to you know just get lost in the story.
What was the news story?
Yeah. Anyways,
What was the news story?
oh, I can't tell you because I don't know if it's true. So
Yeah, you'd be
Doesn't
spreading
wanna spread-
disinformation.
yeah.
I don't want to spread
Respect that.
misinformation. Exactly.
Try not to get a
Exactly.
shadow ban.
So what grinds your gear is that all information coming in is
That grinds my gears, but what really grinds my gears is these commercials during Joe. And I don't mind. Like, I get it. I'm getting the thing for free on Spotify. I'm not paying their...
Yeah,
like, Matt,
I'm livid.
Matt, I would be enraged. I
love your
I
empathy.
would burn Spotify down. I would have to make a trip to Sweden just to burn down their complex. But
if you're paying for
it's
Spotify
not
and getting
the ad
ads.
that bothers me. It's the placement of the ads is so ridiculous. This week, Joe was like in the middle of saying something pretty poignant, which really doesn't happen very often anymore. And it was like mid-sentence.
This is the problem too. I'm fairly certain that Joe said back in the day. Actually, I have a few problems now that we're talking
He does
about
not
this.
like interruptions.
I also want to know: do ads that we don't put in play on Spotify during our show?
Ads.
And if so, where is our fucking check?
That'd be the same thing where I believe if you don't pay for YouTube Premium, if you watch a show, I'm sure ads pop up on it.
That's correct. Yeah, I think that would be the same thing. So I think yet the answer to the question
And,
is
and we're being wronged in both
yes,
situations.
they're
We're
well, I
selfish.
mean, wronged.
Hold on, here's the
you
difference.
don't pay Spotify to load your content onto their platform.
Doesn't matter. Our content, everyone's content drives their platform, so that's a moot point.
I know, but again, it's that same old argument. Like it's the same for YouTube. The content drives the platform. They still make the rules. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
but
Like,
everyone, but as long as you have
It's a
1,000
catch-22.
subscribers, you can have ads run. There's no like.
you can receive income from ads running.
Yes.
I think ads run without.
Well, fine, but you know what I mean. Yes,
oh, so you're just angry that you're not getting your whatever.
I'm mad that
penny
we
per-
aren't.
I'm not saying
We're not being able to
you.
dip our beak.
Sorry?
We're not being able to dip our beak.
Yeah,
Get a
no.
little taste.
I understand. I think, yeah, you're running into that same, which is very fitting because we're talking all about terms and conditions this week. So
Terms and conditions means more than ever now.
and that's pretty much it, man. Matt, I'll save the rest of it for Kamar's post. Joe.
For the PJ?
How's your week, Matt?
It was nothing. There was nothing. Literally, same as every other week. Just
That's what I like to hear.
Just a black void leaking into the next.
One day, that's all
Well,
going to change.
I will talk about something for Matt then, because last night we watched the fights. He had a ticket. This crazy
Of the fights?
I had a Hail Mary 6-leg parlay,
It
like a
makes-
very, very specific.
It makes watching the fights so much more fun.
That was $5 too.
And I'll tell you, Matt, it
Yeah.
would make a normal fight, even when there are no bangers, a lot of fun.
That's how gambling works, Simon. If you bet on anything, you're invested in it.
But Simon, this is what I want
I
to.
don't like your fucking condescending attitude, asshole.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No. But Simon, this is what I was going to say is we should that was a $5 bet. You know what I mean? If you come over for the fights on a Saturday, you should put $25 on in your account and just play around with some
Well,
bullshit.
no, I'm definitely going to do that on, what's it called? Bet DSI?
Yes, bet DSI. Yes, but look at him go. This guy,
Nice.
it's like he's
He's
a
a fucking
fucking
professional.
goddamn podcasting
But
professional.
you bet knockout first round, submission this
Not-
fight.
no, no, so
it
I-
was some pretty crazy bets.
I had
interesting.
Dan Hooker to win by decision, which happened. I had Mursap Devashli to win inside distance, which happened. Then I got fucked because I picked Andrade to win by decision. I should have just picked her to fucking starch that chick.
Oh yeah, she's got the look.
Yeah, either way, the whole ticket fell apart because then I had Diaz to win, which didn't happen. I had Shevchenko.
Was there option Diaz to give up?
No, that one didn't. I
What a
mean, maybe
weird
there was. To take a knee and then just decide I'm good. I'm good.
I
good.
have to say though, last night 2 fight of the year candidates, without a doubt in my
Ortega?
mind. Or the Ortega Volkanovski fight, of course, but the prelim fight between Marlon Moraes and Mursab Devashli,
Dude, that fight was
it was
crazy.
the wildest barn burner. Like we watched a
He should
man.
have lost it. He ended up winning.
We watched a man get killed on his feet.
Yeah,
3 or 4 times. We watched him rise from the dead where he was and then come back and
He's such a weird little dude, too.
Yeah.
Like this
The
weird little
Georgian-
leprechaun,
it was
Georgian
fucking
leprechaun.
wild.
Like,
Racist.
anyway, that was
that's racist?
No, we were saying Georgia, the flag sort of has iron cross.
No, it's like the Swedish flag.
No.
The
With,
cross is on.
No, it looks like
sorry,
the
the
it
Norway
looks like the
flag,
English flag.
The English flag with
with
tiny little
4 other English flags in it.
them. Yeah.
But it's part of Russia.
I don't get the Iron Cross.
Well, that's what the crew I watched the fight with. That's what we got out of it.
Interesting.
Were
Well, either
you
way,
watching it with your Ku Klux Klan crew?
We were.
Yeah.
No hoods.
Did you wear no?
No
it's-
hoods.
It's hot.
it was a hoodless evening.
Hoodless evening.
Interesting.
All right, well, we're going to do what we normally do here, which is you want to run down the guest list for us quickly? Come on,
Love
so we
to,
can
Matty.
rate
Thanks
this
for
bad
asking.
boy.
First, we start off with Foxy Noxy, 1709, Amanda Knox.
This one was out of fucking total left
Life
field.
after behind bars, followed by I think we
Life after behind bars. That was-
we needed this 1710 Cullen Hoback, creator of Into the Storm.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah. I forgot
month
this
too
guy
late,
was
as Matt
a
said.
month, 7 months.
Finish off 1711 Patrick Bet David. And I'm very interested to hear what you guys thought of this one.
Well, I already listened to his podcast.
You listened to it already?
No, Patrick Bet David, I listened to his podcast.
You listened to it?
Yes.
Yes. So you know who he is.
I knew exactly what was going to go on in this podcast.
Well, when we get to it.
We'll get to it. No big deal. No big deal. All right, well, let's rate the week. I feel like Simon's just ready to go. He looks like he's got a
I'm
number.
certainly not ready.
No, I was wrong.
I haven't even thought about it yet.
Simon has 0 thought.
I give it a 2.5. And I thought it was going to be a lot better.
You know what? I'll agree. It's tough. I'll give it a 2.5. I'm going to agree with Kumar. We have almost an
Once in
agreement.
a blue moon.
In no specific order, my 3 numbers are 4,
Yeah.
2 and 1.5.
2.5.
So 7.5 divided by 3.
2.5.
Is it 2.5?
No,
I'm
he
just trying to
keeps
cut the
saying
middleman.
that.
I don't actually do.
What
It
was
is.
it? What was it?
It
Matt?
is 2.5. Quarters. Think about it. 3
Okay,
quarters
I
is
don't know.
7.5. We have an agreement. It'd be better if I could have caught it at the middle, where I was like, we have and then it just said agreement. That would've
Everything
been
you do is magic.
better. All right. Well, let's get into the first guest.
Shall we, gentlemen?
That seems
What? Getting into her?
dirty somehow. Yeah.
Only because it's her dirty little Amanda
well,
Knox.
Foxy Noxy.
1709, Amanda Knox. Now, have you guys seen the Netflix
Well,
documentary?
I had,
Okay.
and in honor of this podcast, I went back and rewatched the documentary. So
No
I am
way. Really?
Very fresh.
Wow.
It's a
With
very
what
good
is going
documentary,
on with Madame Noxy.
Because
Foxy.
when it happened, it was social media wasn't what it is today. So it was sort of broken
This was one of those
information that came out.
first, like television trials, big media trials.
I'm
Except
pretty
for
sure
OJ.
OJ.
OJ, I said it was one of the first.
What year was this, though? I thought this was in the 2000s.
Mr. Fresh.
Yeah, I thought this was fresh.
I
It's
don't
not
know
me.
when it was. I'm sorry.
Okay. Because I thought it was like within the last 10 years.
I sort of agree with Simon that it was not one of the first trial, but the key was its trial by media.
Yeah.
That way too much information gets out and way too many people make decisions.
2007.
Yes, so way before the social media explosion. So it was sheerly
Well, way before, like 3 years before the social media.
No,
explosion, right?
well,
2010, wasn't that?
2006 is when Facebook was released. So before that, it was like MySpace.
Right. It doesn't matter.
But you are correct. Before the boom, there was no boom before
Anyways, it was one of those big trials.
we were getting information from a newspaper or news.
Yeah.
And just that limited. There's no Twitter behind the scenes, anything else like that at the time. And I am probably guilty of thinking at first she did it the way it was portrayed in the media.
Absolutely. But I mean, after watching that documentary and just kind of getting a sense,
Hold on. I want to back up. Forget the media portrayal. I saw just the videos of her hugging and kissing that dude after her roommate died. Forget how the media portrayed it. That video alone, to me, a little bit damning. That's all I'm saying.
So you're in the Malcolm Gladwell.
yeah,
School.
it's damning of her being like just a stupid kid. I don't think it's damning of her being a fucking murderer.
Hold on.
You
I
have
didn't
no evidence before you just you got to feel.
listen. Everyone has a feeling. Everyone gets a fucking. Everyone has that.
Do you think she's guilty and
No.
got off?
No. Oh. No. My point was simply that we all make knee-jerk reactions, and that without
Emotion.
without any context, just seeing that. Now, again, I think everyone deals with stress and shock differently, right? So you can't how you would deal with it.
That whole case, though, it's crazy because exactly what he's saying. The whole case is based around that, and this detectives or prosecutors, he said, I think she's guilty because
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean-
I get a bad feeling
They
from
get
her.
a gut feeling,
and they
then
would not
search
let
for
it
the
go.
evidence
Yeah,
to match up with that.
But that's older than time in memoriam as far as
That's
policing
what they
is
have.
concerned.
That's what they have to do is try to get a gut feeling and go with it. But
and
then-
I'm sure that works sometimes if you're like Sherlock Holmes, but
I honestly, I bet it's less than 50-50.
with
Slightly.
all the wrongly accused we've seen
For sure.
took Joe long enough. I know I've said this before to finally I assume he's doing something with the Innocence Project now.
I don't know. After the last podcast this week, you never know. Joe might just be on his own. He might just cut a few checks here and there. And
No, he said he was having him back on. They're going to discuss a specific case. So
bring
obviously
attention to it.
Joe is doing like a Kim Kardashian, where you put your money behind
we'll see.
somebody getting free. And because a lot of the time it's you get stuck in legislation and you know what I mean? I think if you have cash, just like anything else, it pushes things to the front of the line. It could be wrong.
or it brings
but
attention to it.
brings
Depends.
attention to
What
it.
else happens that week in the news cycle, though? Could be washed under the bridge.
Yeah, I don't know if it's about so much about getting it in the news cycle. I think just, I don't know. I feel like money pushes everything through.
I thought it was interesting, and I was probably guilty as Joe when he asked if the Italian media is really into like
What are you, nuts?
Paparazzi is an Italian word. Is like, oh yeah, sort of. You got served by Amanda there. Then I thought this podcast should have just been about her experience and stuff like that, and no extracurricular like Biden bashing, COVID talk. It just seemed like unnecessary.
It's impossible now, though. Like, everybody wants to have their time on Rogan, you know?
Yeah, but she didn't get her time. He pretty much, it felt to me like he was just telling her his COVID stance, which is also a weird flex because it's like, dude, you're the most popular, like you're in the news all the time. You don't even have to be a listener at this point to know.
I just don't know the timeline and how maybe she doesn't listen to podcasts, so he thinks everyone is brand new, so maybe you should know this is my stance on a couple things. Mm-hmm. But they were talking about the bats and stuff, it is pretty crazy that there's caves with 40 million bats in them. And as we know, ecosystems, we need the bats probably more than we need humans.
Dude, I bet bats look at cities and are like, can you believe there's like 20 million of these assholes here?
These people.
Bats are disgusting, man. I hate them.
Yes, they are rats with
Flying
wings.
little fucking rodents.
Do you think hourly wage is a problem here?
What do you mean by that?
Well, just prices for things have gone up. You know what I mean? Like a pack of cigarettes is like $15, $20 now.
That has nothing. That has nothing to do with wages, unfortunately.
He just means it.
Big Macs have gone up. Everything's gone up. Wages have not gone up. But I think
wages have gone up.
But they should be about $20 an hour for almost a remedial job. 15 to 20 at this point, right?
Listen,
like
according to inflation,
some people will never have a good job.
According to inflation, and I know you're a small business owner, so just let me finish. According to inflation, minimum wage should be somewhere in the range of $22 to $25. I understand that as a small business owner, you're like, that's just not fucking possible, right?
I mean, most of the time it's not possible. Yeah. I
mean, the problem is this. This is how I see it. Like, can you really, like, does a 16-year-old living with his parents who has absolutely no work experience deserve $25 an hour?
No.
I think we can all kind of agree that, like, the answer there is probably no. So that's one of my problems with, like, setting a minimum wage. I will admit that now. But at the same time, I think, like, you can't, if you look at the numbers of corporate theft, as in like not paying overtime, forced
stealing
overtime,
tips, like
like Mario Balotelli. That's not the guy's name, is it? It doesn't.
Who's the one you're talking about?
The point is it's staggering. Like it's trillions of dollars a year in the States alone. So, you know, people need to be protected in some sort of way. Although that's what unions used to be, and they've demonized the shit out of them.
You have that battle of people who want the wage and the people like, we can't afford that wage.
I mean, listen, imagine.
It's not everyone's, this is how it's got to be.
Look, for sure, there are times where the person who owns the business is saying, I can't do that. And then they're like driving their fucking Ferraris around and stuff. And then there are times where the owners of those business just can't do that. It's not margin. So cut and dry all the time.
I get it.
And so when you do have, like Matt said, where you're forced into paying, like, because it's not so much paying people that minimum wage, it's that it then throws, like, if you have, it just throws everything out askew, right? And it could really be detrimental to certain businesses out there who are just getting by, especially now, right? Like after COVID, a lot of these restaurants and stuff are coming back just on the brink of existence.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a double-edged sword, man. Like I mean,
restaurants is a weird one because they pay less than minimum wage.
Yeah, I know.
Like server minimum wage is lower, correct? So I'm just saying.
So forget restaurants.
But you are right. They have razor thin margins, so an increase in wages can.
It has to come from the federal government.
No, what subsidies?
It'd have to be like the Bernie tax or tax to rich or whatever. You know, when there's a CEO that makes 500 times.
Well, because here's the real problem. The real problem is
that has to come to subsidize.
the real problem.
The real problem is like you can't tell, like, the problem is McDonald's being like, what, you want us to pay these people? It's like, actually, considering what you guys make in a year, yeah, we would, like.
Well, that's exactly it. And it should be based on some sort of, I guess, equation as to how much you make and how many people you employ. And because those are the problems, right? It's not the mom and pop shops. It's the Amazons who are making $1 billion a year and paying their employees nothing and treating them horribly. And right, like,
Yeah.
Bottom line, I think we'll agree people are not getting paid enough, but it's not that easy to fix.
I mean, listen, when you find out what the average U.S. family lives on in a year, it doesn't even make sense. Like, I can't mentally crunch those numbers. Like $19,000 a year. Imagine supporting a family on
it's impossible.
Or trying to get ahead. Like
getting ahead that's impossible.
Well, you just end up in debt.
And that's where, and again, and if you look at like the history of predatory lending in the States, it's out of fucking control.
Not only in the States, like,
well, yeah, okay, but
that happens here too.
Oh, of course, but we're talking about in the scope of the States right now. Yeah, of course. When I say the States, anything that happens there happens here. We're not above anything that goes on down there. It's just a little bit different in certain aspects.
Yeah, and then like there are just so many things we accept. The
Mandates.
rates on credit cards, the whatever, right?
I mean, the problem is that when we made corporations people, like, think about it. You as the consumer have to sign so many contracts that are written by corporate lawyers. Like, just to use think about just to use iTunes. You have to sign a massive fucking huge document that's written by a massive legal team.
We're gonna talk all about that in the next episode.
Okay, sorry, but my point is, like, it's the same way. Like, if a plumber comes over, he's gonna hand you a contract that you have to sign. Imagine if, like, you handed him a contract, he'd be like, "I'm not fucking signing that. What are you talking about?" And it's a weird.
No, I mean, I work in the trades. There are contracts.
Well, it's like when.
But do they give you a contract? Never. It's always you giving them a contract that they have to sign.
On the phone where they tell me that they're recording a conversation, I tell them, well, just so you know, I'm already recording this conversation. So.
But you're not. You're just bluffing.
Oh, I'm fucking bluffing.
Strong bluff.
Back to Knox. So she spent 4 years in jail.
It's crazy.
1 year before she even knew anything was happening. And she got no compensation.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Does that make sense?
No, that doesn't make any sense. I feel like maybe there are lawsuits going on right now that she couldn't talk about.
Just
maybe.
keep it a little back. There you go. You think she's suing who? The Italian government?
I would hope so. Like, that's ridiculous. Come on. You don't lose 4 years of your life in obviously, especially to a prosecutor or the detective who was so clearly incompetent.
I'm not disagreeing with you. That I'm just saying I can't imagine that would be easy to sue another.
But you think they'd do some sort of token of good faith, like we're sorry.
Listen,
here's some mozzarella.
We have a little house on the Amalfi Coast.
Spaghetti. Hopefully you can eat for a year or anything. It really seems cold-hearted.
I mean, that's the weirdest part about the whole justice system is that when they ruin someone's life, there is rarely, and I don't mean ruin their life like lock them up. I'm talking about like if they accuse someone of murder and drag them through the mud, and maybe they only spend like a month in jail, but then it's like, oh, we cleared you. Or you know what I mean? Or you went through a terrible interrogation.
You got off, even though you were in here for no reason.
Well, and they're just like, what do you want? This is how we do the justice system. Like, this is how we get to the bottom of stuff. And
what's crazy is she is still more notorious than the murderer.
Yeah, it's insane. Well, what's crazy is he's out.
He served his term, he's out, but no one even knows who he, like, the
it's crazy that he did.
Her.
Didn't he do 6 years and she did 4?
I believe she said he did 13 years.
Okay.
Serving.
Either way, he did double what she did.
It sounded like he didn't have a good upbringing, though. I mean, that doesn't accuse him of committing the crime, but he got arrested the week before, and it really, maybe she just wants to wash her hands of it, but I just can't imagine how there's no compensation for her whatsoever, but that's the case, she said. Then she talked about the $27,000.
That's all she got from the Italian government.
Well, that's something.
For 4
I would-
years.
I would-
No,
draw.
it's nothing. Like, you know,
Or legal costs probably cost
in
more.
Canada, remember the guy who the fucking Tragically Hip song was written about there?
30-year-old never kissed a girl.
Yeah, what's that guy's name? David Milgaard?
Okay, what about him?
He got like millions of dollars from the Canadian government.
Dude,
Omar Khadr got $10 million.
that woman in Philly last week got, I think, like $2 million from the city of Philly.
So how the fuck is Italy getting off so scot-free?
Well, again, it's different laws, right? Like the states,
Bullshit.
the states,
Teflon legal system.
the states, you can sue for anything and any amount. Like, don't forget, I sued when I was, or someone sued on my behalf when I was young. I got nothing. If I was in the States, I'd be rich. I'd be filthy rich.
For your whole coma.
That's a lot of compassion. But I
Is that what
mean,
we're talking about?
That is what we're, I didn't bring it up. You did.
considering what a raw deal she got, she is in good spirits. And in this weird way, Joe sort of says at the end, but I think it's made her who she is. You know what I mean? Had she gone on this Italy trip, fall in love, moved back to America, became a housewife, whatever, she might have grown up to be a Karen. You know what I mean? All the circumstances shaped her into a really insightful person who's now trying to do good stuff. So it's almost like it's a good thing that happened. But
I mean, she's also got a level of fame from it. And I'm, you know,
this is what I'm saying.
But wait, hold on.
She'd
a
be better
sec.
off not to
Like,
go to jail.
If it never happened, for all you know, like you're assuming she becomes a Karen. Maybe she comes back here, had a great trip, and writes fucking code that, you know, makes
doubt
the
it.
next
I doubt
program.
it.
I'm just saying, you never know.
Because
You
that's
doubt it.
one
you
of
don't know
that's one of
nothing.
my criticisms of this podcast. It's not really a criticism, but I wish Joe had asked her sort of what path she thought she was on before this all happened. You know what I mean? It's just it's like when she talks about the Polanski victim. She's pissed off that she's defined by that. And she has said she had the conversation with Roman Polanski, whatever. We
Yeah,
made
now
our
she's
peace.
done with it,
And Now
yeah.
you're using me like I don't
yeah,
even want to be part
every
of
5
this.
years I get brought up on some bullshit.
Like I'm not the woman who got raped by Roman Polanski. I'm a mother.
Yeah.
I do this or whatever. Like I just wish he asked sort of where you thought your life was going, because obviously everything that's happened after shaped her and put her. Now she's a podcaster, right?
I mean, we're podcasters. That's not a high bar.
But we're not podcasters because we got
I get it.
wrongfully accused.
I get it. I
and then
understand.
Felt a crusade and sort of a calling.
My point was more just like you said it as if like she's a podcaster now, as if like that's the highest bar.
She's made it.
Maybe this is, who knows, in an alternate universe she's unhappy. I don't know. It's just a weird situation how she's definitely taken lemons and made lemonade.
I mean, listen, for someone who got locked up for 4 years, she seems very.
I mean, to me, she deserves a hell of a lot more, man. Like,
I used to say that too. I can't believe she didn't get any compensation. That being said,
she shouldn't have to do a podcast. She should be being taken care of by the Italian government for the rest of her life.
yeah, well, hopefully something's in the works that we don't know
I
about.
wonder how much she made from that Netflix documentary.
You think she got paid for that?
You know what? I'm going to find out what she's worth right now.
Then she talked about how Malcolm Gladwell painted her like.
Sorry, what was your question? Just 1 second.
I didn't have a question.
Yeah, you said something before I was going to look this up.
How much she make from the Netflix
Yeah,
documentary?
you don't think she made money from that?
I just didn't naturally assume she did.
Oh, I assume she did.
Like it's like Q in the Storm, or do you think that he paid Ron in them?
No.
Slow down.
Probably
We'll
Ron
get
got
there.
paid something, yeah.
Oh, I doubt it.
I don't think so. But,
See, that's
but
my
we'll
point.
Get, we'll get there.
I know we'll get there. I'm just saying it's a perfect example of like.
But what Simon said at the beginning is she's 20 years old. She was too naive to handle the situation, and that's why she may have behaved some way or had conversations that people say, oh, there's no remorse or anything like. Because even in your head, you're 20 years old and you know you didn't do this. You're like, well, this is all going to get cleared up in 2 weeks or in a couple of days once people realize what's going on. So I think that's what she was a victim of, her naivete. I'm not saying if she was older, she'd handle it better.
I mean, that's
I'm
probably a good
getting,
assumption, though.
Conflicting numbers here. I have a 3.2 million. I have a $5,000. I have
That's a thanks for
I have
coming
a
out.
$500,000. So
Well, that'd
I
be
just-
interesting.
I'm not
So she's
sure.
worth anywhere between $5,000 and $500,000.
If she's
No,
benefited
and
from the
3.5
if she's
million. Oh, wow.
benefited from the ordeal, it's not a bad thing.
I would imagine that through like magazines and this and that, she probably like, and it's still not enough, but she's probably made some money off of all of this.
What I don't understand is when she was talking about how she had a private conversation with the prosecutor and promised not to say what he said.
Well, then she pretty much said what he said.
I know, but it was not like she signed an NDA or like.
No, yeah, she was just.
She should throw him under the fucking bus. She does not owe him anything.
I mean, that documentary pretty much threw him under the bus.
So why did you say I had talked to him but I promised not to tell? That just like tell, girl. Tell.
Why? I think she's trying to show that she's a bigger person.
Well, and she
That's
said,
admirable.
he pretty much said what he said in the documentary there, where to the effect of, if she's innocent, I hope she can forgive the Italian government. And if she's guilty. So this guy obviously still kind of believes that she's fucking guilty.
Well, I wish she'd just come out and said it.
Yeah, but I also think it's one of those things where like that's a tough thing to be wrong about. You know what I mean? It's if you're wrong about like the weather or your political beliefs or like, oh man, the guy I picked for prime minister, he really turned out to be a dud. Like those are things that you can be like, got me. It's tough to be like, you murdered someone. I know you murdered
Yeah,
someone.
no,
I'm going to
no.
lock you up.
Especially in this case, like take like a making a murderer. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like that guy, I could see why they would put suspicion on him. Amanda Knox like was just some fucking girl.
But they love the sexual side of it.
That they
was
just-
a crazy sex party that got out of control.
Something, yeah.
Because that's salacious. And I'm guilty as charged. Thought there was something going on just from the initial reporting with that lack of information.
I think I also
Consequence.
used to think that she did it before I knew the story.
Like I said, that one clip, I was just like, ooh, that seems. But like I said, you can't judge someone in shock. It's a tough.
No.
It's tough to judge someone's character or what's going through their mind while they're in.
And I think there was
Except OJ, that
another
motherfucker did it.
case that was going on right around the same time. It was an American girl who was like on a cruise with her
No,
parents
I thought she got
or
like
something.
lost in Barbados or
Yeah,
some
she was
shit.
on a cruise.
I don't think it was a cruise though.
1,000% she was on a
Whatever.
cruise. They had stopped at one of the little stops, you know? How you stop
I understand
and
how a
dock
cruise
the boat.
works. Yeah.
Oh my god. So anyways, Kamar, they stop at one of the little places where they stop the cruises. They go out into the town and they think she gets back on the boat. They drive away and she's not back on the boat. She disappears. And there's like all these people who think, you know, she was kidnapped and black market sex rings. Anyways, this was all going on at the same time. I used to get the two things confused. What was that one called?
I think
Anyways,
it was
go
called
on.
the Black Market Sex Ring Killers.
I'm gonna fucking. You know what, Matt?
How long do you think you feel sorry for yourself when you're in that position? The first 4 years when she does it, she's got hope, but do you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Because it's sort of like that thing where if you win the lottery or you break your neck a year later, you've got to just get on with it at some point, or you might as well kill yourself. If you're just stuck in this mire of like I'm fucked.
But I don't think she had that. She sounded like she right away got busy in there, right? Like helping people write letters or write whatever.
And I think one of the reasons why she said she was able to do that is because she had family throughout the whole ordeal. Mm-hmm. And it might have been a different story had she been way more alone. Because
I think it's also good to have some bartering in prison.
Because I can't imagine if that happened here in your own country, but that far abroad, it's just like it really is a testament to her spirit that she came out. And she said one of the things that helped her get through it is making humble goals. There's advice if you're ever in a hard position, you don't know how you're going to get out of it. Start small and just keep plugging away.
Amy Lynn Bradley, I think, was the girl who disappeared on the cruise ship. Anyways,
She and then in turn helped herself by helping others. Learning Italian, translating court cases, whatnot.
well, yeah, that's probably how she managed to stay alive in there. Fuck.
That's what I was saying. It's always good to have a bartering chip in prison. Like if everyone needs you and likes you,
Well, yeah,
it's an
otherwise
easier time, right?
Your
Like,
bartering chip is your butt, you know.
She's a woman, so I think it's a little bit different. I don't know if they're going for the button there as much.
I meant like
I get it. Yeah.
your body.
Try to be of service to others. To help
And not your
yourself.
butt.
Well, not your butt. Yeah, there's no dropping the soap showers for her in the.
Have sex somewhere uncomfortable.
Clink.
Where, like the backseat of a Volkswagen? Exactly.
She talked about how when she was back, was it a therapist or her mother wanted to go to the victims conference. And she was like, I don't want to do this, but it turned out to be the best thing. Like, because she talked.
Yeah, because she got
guys
there and
came
right
out,
away they
right
were
away,
like, yeah.
You don't have to do anything. Don't worry. You've been fucked. So sharing experience is very important to anyone who's going through something. If you want to use BetterHelp or anything else, like finding other people who.
Look at us dropping in all the fucking sponsors.
Well, I think that's like what religion is all about. You're looking for a shared experience,
Yeah, but I meant more like stressful
Alcoholics.
ordeal.
You meant through like
whatever.
trauma, I think.
Some sort of trauma. Don't keep it yourself. Try to find someone. Like, I think she said she was like not looking forward to it, and she almost started crying, and it turned out it was like the best thing she could have done. So
I
go
think-
to the light.
I think even without trauma, though, like, I don't know. I think everything in life, like, that's kind of the beauty of the internet. It opened up the world to be like, oh my God, my weird shit isn't even anywhere near as weird as some people's weird shit. You know what I mean? Like, even porn,
Everyone
like,
felt a little more normal.
yeah. Like, it's all, you can spend 10 minutes on the internet and be like, oh my God, I'm fucking super
And
normal.
there are good things about that, and there are bad things about that, right?
There's
Like, 'cause
listen,
then-
nothing's perfect. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, then, people who have problematic obsessions
Yeah.
think that it's okay because they find other people who have those same problematic obsessions or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
but you can also look at it in the
there's
positive.
a serial killer group because there are guys who love killing puppies, and they found other guys who love killing puppies, and there's a whole board about it. And
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it just promotes more puppy killing. I'm just saying there's a flip side to what you're saying.
You are the most cynical human being. It's weird, too, because
I'm not
I
cynical.
think it might be you.
really
I think you might be the most cynical.
interesting.
Or maybe you guys rub off at each other. It
No,
depends on the day.
okay. You know what? Anyways, let's move on.
Would you guys listen to her podcast after? Like, she was real well spoken.
I have
in terms of
no
interest.
interest
No
in
interest.
listening to her
If she
podcast
has
at all.
You Know Me Park on,
Don't care.
No, I don't.
Joe felt like he was bringing worlds together. I don't think anything would come of it, really.
I bet
It's
you
funny
should.
He thought it would.
Because Joe's one of those people who's like, everyone's living today like it's the goddamn fucking victim Olympics. Everyone's living, and then he gets her together. He's like, who you should get together with is You Know Me Park. You guys can have a little victim Olympic
I
off.
bet
Like,
you she will have Me Park on.
Well, he was actually willing to say her story is actually a little bit worse than yours.
Yeah.
Like, right after saying, the worst thing that happens to you is the worst thing that happens to you.
Yeah.
That's Joe, though. I love him. She doesn't believe in free will, so she must be a Sam Harris. So or through this experience, she decided this is just her path. Do you know what I mean?
That free will argument is so complicated that I don't think you can just say you're either a Sam Harris or you're not. I think even if
Well, that's the first person I heard talk about this.
No,
so that's all I'm saying.
I understand, but even in his context, I don't know. I think it's just not so cut and dry.
Because you like to think you're fully in control.
No, I mean I don't think I'm fully in control. I just
So here comes C, come sa with free will.
don't get mad at me. Just keep it a spade, dude. Just keep it a
cares
There you
about
go. Yeah, I'm trying to make this thing the best fucking thing it can be.
anyways, go on.
You are making this the best thing you could be.
I'm not. I'm running this thing into the ground as we speak.
Joe's theory is that pile on people.
Burn it all.
I know you guys don't do this, and I don't do it either. Like a pile on sort of thing. When someone goes down on the internet and just people, like it happens all the time. And his theory is those people feel shitty, but they're just doing it. I think they do like that they feel like they do, like they're real heroes or something. I just disagree with Joe's.
I think there are a lot of different people out there. I think some people feel shitty. Some people, like you're saying, feel like
Well, I
they're
think if you pile on,
heroes.
you are shitty. That's what I'm saying.
I just find in general, like, if you spend any amount of your time on the internet saying negative things, I don't know. You're probably not very happy.
If you're making people feel bad, you should really like take a hard look.
If you're
at
trying to
your
feel
life, you
good
know?
by making people feel bad.
Whatever the case is,
It's like horrible energy
if the
distribution.
end result is you're making other people feel bad, you really need to like see if that's necessary. Because I bet you it's not. I bet you can get the same result in your life.
Yeah, why don't you just go outside?
Then Joe brought up the hunter-gatherer book, which Weinstein talked about, but they didn't really get into it because it got so sidebarred by COVID. Because I don't think their book had anything to necessarily do with COVID or that thing that we won't talk about on the internet. But it's like crazy that technology is now so far ahead of evolution. And I think that was sort of the crux of their book. Like technology is now scanning us, figuring out how to sell us stuff we don't need. Evolution is still trying to tie its shoes. You know what I mean? We're not equipped to have this bombardment of information and trust in news or
You know what's
believe in
amazing to
anything.
think about is like in the last 100 years, we have like cars and this and that. And in the thousands and thousands of years before that, we didn't. Like so much has happened in this last 100 years that we're just like, oh yeah, this is totally fucking normal. Of course, this is natural progression by human beings.
Oh,
But
here
when
comes aliens. I know what's
No,
coming.
Not aliens
No?
at all. Just when you really look at like, we've gone too fast.
yes, and
We're skipping too many steps.
I've said it before. I feel like in 1950, it was easier to predict what life would be like in the year 2000 than 220 to say what life will be like in 270. Like it's
Yeah, but you're also wrong
there'd
because
be
if
life.
but if you look back at any prediction of the future, they were all wrong. But they were all way off.
No. They predicted 100 years ago skyscrapers and planes.
I mean,
Okay,
they're
but
all
skyscrapers
wrong.
and planes is not. That's I'm talking about like the flying cars and like just the in general like.
Well, we talked about this last. There's a flying car. It's just not
Yeah, but-
functional.
and different people had different predictions, right? Like not
Not
everybody was
all
predicting.
wrong. I just think the future's way
flying
way
cars.
murkier now than it has been years before. Yeah, we don't have to agree on everything.
What, you think every single fucking
I think the majority of future predictions were way off. Yes, Simon. And I think anything we've made on this will be way off. I always stand by that. You can't, no one. There's always something that just comes along out of nowhere and it's like, holy fuck, that changed the game.
And there's something that you look at like, wow, someone predicted this. It does happen. I just think the future is the murkiest it's ever been. That's my theory.
the future is the murkiest it's ever been.
I mean, I think that statement is
I
kind
don't
of,
even know what that means.
I just think it's redundant.
No one knows what's going to happen 20
Nobody
years from now.
ever knows what's going to happen. It's the future.
Like I said, I believe if you looked at someone who predicted 1970 what 1990 would be like, they weren't all wrong. But anyways,
I don't know. Like,
Hold on, the
if
internet, think about it. The internet was like readily available in the 90s. No one in the 70s predict, like, again, let's go back to, I use this all the time. Back to the Future 2. They had Marty McFly in the future getting a fax out of his wall that says you're fired.
Back
So like,
to the Future was.
But again,
but I'm just saying,
Sure, but look at Star Trek. Like some of the things they were suggesting are real
and
things
it exists
we're
now. They're
using
so
today.
crude, but will only get better.
So
well,
it
yeah,
can
but like
go
being like a
both-
flip phone like that. Okay.
not a flip phone, like the idea of warp drives, like black holes, all sorts of things, man.
Black holes were not invented in fucking Star Trek.
No,
you are
no,
aware
no.
of this, right?
Of course,
That's not like the
of
first.
course. I think warp drives were though.
So do we have an active warp drive right now?
No,
Well,
but
because
these
you
are
think of it, it's
definitely
possible to go there.
Okay, what are you even
things they
talking about
bat-
right now?
They bat around.
I support you 100%.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
you always support him 100%.
Not-
It's lunacy and nonsense.
It's not lunacy. These
All
are-
this to be said,
that's not
the
at
best
all a crazy
the best way
idea.
we go is just become bonobos
and just fuck all the
and
time.
just fucking chill and be nice. Or we're gonna keep going down this technological road where we're gonna become something else.
Isn't that in itself evolution?
Yeah, but it's a lot. It's just going a lot slower than technology. Where I think
Maybe
it's
not-
going to happen. We're not going to cross a fish line together.
Maybe not bonobos, but maybe something closer to like a Bigfoot type creature.
Can I also point out again?
Sentient life, but you know,
Oh, here we go.
just more in touch with nature, you know. Just I don't know, man.
Dude, I keep pulling it away and then you slide yourself forward like I don't. Like,
I don't know.
It's like a parent checking for dribbles.
this guy's hilarious.
I mean,
Do we think dolphins might be smarter than humans? They have a bigger brain, right? Is what Joe said.
again, another book that predicted the future, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Not all wrong.
Anyways.
Like there's this communal society, but without all the rape.
I mean, it's hard to say that they're smarter than humans, Kamar, because they're
It's impossible to
not
say.
building anything. So that's the...
Yeah, they don't adjust their environment. That was the point being. But they're highly intelligent, and maybe it's a shortcoming
Yeah,
that
I
we
mean,
evolve and just change the world around us instead of adapting to the world.
like so your contention would be that if dolphins had thumbs, opposable thumbs, they would be building underwater cities.
Maybe they've built underwater cities that we don't know. They're highly
That,
intelligent.
That, my friend, is something I cannot argue with.
Like no one knows what
because
dolphins' home is, right? Are they like
Nobody.
Hold on. So you assume that dolphins like their
honey, I'm
job is
home?
like going out into the ocean doing flips and dolphin shit just to hide their underwater lair, and then at some point they go home and are like, "What's on Dolph Flicks?" Or,
Well, any dolphins you see are probably like rogue teenage dolphins out there.
They're
like,
the useless ones.
well, just who are like thrill seekers,
Trying to find their way.
A normal dolphin just is like a button-up
they don't get
businessman.
tied down
spends
by the
most
man.
of his time going to work at the dolphin
'cause
high-rise
he's stuck in a
building.
dolphin. Yeah, I was getting dolphin towers all
Yeah,
day. He doesn't have
you
time to
know,
go to the
he's
surface
looking
and
out
do
a
flips.
Coral cubicle.
It really
I don't hate it. Come
It
on.
really seems though we've stunted our progress in learning about the highly intelligent species and stuff. You know what I mean?
Of
How do you
course,
feel-
because
wait,
we
wait,
think
say that
we're
again.
too smart.
We've stunted our growth.
Wow. I don't think we know anything more about dolphins than we did 20 years ago. Maybe I'm not looking up the.
I think I'm just
Papers.
guessing. I would assume you're wrong. You think we've just given up on
would not
researching
be-
dolphins?
Well, if the government let people like really get down into the oceans, maybe we would be able to study dolphins more. They're cities, you know.
oh, so
not
hold on.
just-
Whoa. It's the government that's stopping us from going out into,
Well, what do you think is stopping us, Matt,
from looking for dolphin cities?
from going and exploring the ocean?
Well, first of all, the ocean is international waters. So what government exactly is stopping you? Just out of
The
curiosity.
World government.
Okay. So what's James Cameron up to?
He
Avatar.
made a movie.
Okay, when he's not doing Avatar.
He didn't really go anywhere. He went into a loud space. That's what I think, anyways. I think that, like, again, these billionaires who are flying into space, they're going where they're allowed to go. Nobody's going to the moon.
Yet.
I knew that.
Well,
was
yet,
coming.
but okay. I would like to see that. I would like
No,
to see them go to the
I
moon.
posed that question last night just in sidebar discussion. I said, if someone lands on the moon, we'd be impressed. And they still were sort of like, mad.
I will
don't
be.
care. I'm
I
never
will
gonna
be
go, so it doesn't
super
matter.
impressed.
I would be too.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see what they find up there as well.
Well, I don't think that.
But you'd only be impressed because you don't think we've gone before.
I'd be impressed because there's a lot of explaining to do. Like if they show everything up there, then I've been completely wrong. And I'm an idiot. Like I said to you guys last week, I was like,
Wouldn't say you're an idiot, but
I would. But
long abandoned
what
cities
needs to-
up there would
what
be.
needs to create awe? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, that
all
would
these
do
space
it.
travels did not. Like, I was sort of awed. I was like, it's kind of cool.
I'll put it this
If
way.
it's
That
true.
would be some awe for me if they went up there with like some civilians and they were like, yeah, none of the stuff that's supposed to be up here.
Imagine
that would be some
Yeah.
awe.
Or they
Imagine
die.
they
Or
went
they
up
die.
and they found the pyramids, like old remains of
Greatest
some
day of
civilization.
your life. Greatest day of your life.
Boom! That would do it.
So that's what's on the table now. Getting to the moon is the.
Yeah, I think Simon.
But
I think
that's
Simon
why
would jerk off reading that article.
I don't think they're gonna. Again, like they don't let you go into the ocean to parts they don't want you to go to. The moon is probably one of those places. I would imagine that they don't want it. Same with Antarctica.
I bet you there's a Chinatown.
So
you
let me
just
ask you-
aren't going there.
So these parts of the ocean, do you think they're patrolled and that's how they keep you out of there?
I don't know what the fuck is going on, Matt. Like, I couldn't tell you because I haven't done any, like, I don't know. I don't know why, but maybe there's like, you're not going to like my answers.
No?
There's some sort of like, you know how Atlantis would be hidden? Like you think you're looking into the ocean to a void of nothing, but it's actually just like a veil, and then behind it is...
Almost like a stereogram, I imagine.
A what? Sorry?
Is it stereograms? You know, you got to look and lose focus to actually see the thing.
And then you slip behind. It's like walking behind the waterfall, you know? Who knows, man?
We can only hope.
I know this, that human beings are so curious. We've never stopped exploring. We always have to push forward, making better and better things. And yet we've been totally content with not making better things to go investigate the oceans. Okay, let me throw something out at you, okay? This is a crazy thought. We all need cell phones. We all use cell phones. They all have this, like, whatever inside them, some mineral that we need. What if that mineral is in abundance at the bottom of the ocean?
Well, you're still going to have the African kids swim down there to get it.
No. I'm just saying.
You understand what pressure is, correct? You're aware of what pressure is?
Okay, sure. For all we know, and I've said this before, Matt, you may get down to 100,000 feet or whatever it is, and pressure doesn't exist anymore.
I think they know that. I think they do know that.
Yeah, they know that
doesn't
pressure
happen.
does exist.
No, we don't
James
know
Cameron actually
anything
knows that.
because nobody has ever been down there.
James Cameron.
Has been down to a very specific part. You know what I
Had he
mean?
kept going, then the pressure would release.
I would like James
wanna support
Cameron.
you, but
This
I
is
can't.
what I want, Kamar. I want James Cameron to take his little submarine and not tell anybody where he's going until the day of the thing. Then we like spin a wheel and it tells him a direction to go, and then we send him off in that direction. You know what I'm saying? Not a specific place where...
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. I think you're probably wrong.
Wow.
No, but the pressure of the ocean just seems like there's a lot of water on top of you.
For all you know, you get down to 100,000 feet or whatever that number is, and there is a fucking portal that takes you to another dimension.
Well, was I able to
It's
say...
very difficult to have these conversations.
What I was gonna
with you.
say-
You realize that,
What I
right?
was going to say is maybe the heat of the core changes the pressure, but I'm sure there'd be like sulfur and like it'd be too hot, so it just wouldn't matter. It's
You're talking
not for
about like
humans.
human things. Maybe it's not human down there at all.
anyways. They talked about the bears. I just want to finish this thought. How we love animals, but they are so ruthless. The dolphins kill the babies, and the chicks just fuck all the guys. So hopefully we keep the kids alive.
Oh,
the
I watched-
bears just wake up and eat the bears.
I watched a pod of orcas fuck up this dolphin yesterday.
The lion, if he gets kicked out, the guy comes in and kills all his kids. Like no one gets revenge.
Did you see the seal jump on the people's boat because the
Yeah.
pod of orcas
Yeah.
is around them? He's just like, let's get out of
Yeah,
here.
nature's fucking ruthless.
Don't you think that's a weird disconnect? How we love the animals, but we just turn a blind eye to how ruthless they are. Not that we can change their behavior or whatever, but I just think it's weird.
I mean, I go out of my way to watch the good and the bad, the fighting and
Both
the
sides.
fucking, you know?
Back to what you were saying, Joe's convinced that materialism is what feeds innovation.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Our desire for stuff, and once in a while winners will come out, but it's a lot of junk.
materialism, unfortunately, is what drives us as humans right now, and that's probably the problem.
Yes. I think we all know that, especially on so many levels, because the materialism caused waste, getting the climate bullshit, whatever. Like, we'd be much better off as bonobos or some sort of Bigfoot hybrid.
Well, it really makes you wonder if, like, some sort of communism type scenario, without it going really poorly like that.
I think the problem, Kamar, is that we have all the technology to stop all the bullshit we're doing, but that we just don't.
But because the way we work is just progress. There's no other just
Yeah, and I mean, capitalism is
Level out.
built off of growth, constant year over
That's
year
it.
growth. It can't get smaller. You have to just get bigger. So unless someone can monetize cleaning the oceans, like if tomorrow they started making iPhones out of ocean plastic, that would probably be huge. You know what I mean? That industry would we could clear the oceans out in fucking 2 years at that point.
I mean, I'm still holding on for some crazy technological breakthrough to get through, but
I mean, listen, I'm not.
We shouldn't have to depend on the X factor, though. You know, we should have never have gotten our planet into a position where
The
we need a
prophylactic would have been
miracle
smarter. Yeah,
to fucking save us. Like
Money,
that's
money,
crazy.
money,
man.
money,
Yeah, I
money.
know.
I mean, even then, when you talk about predictions, if you go back, people have been yelling about the climate for 100 years. Legitimately, you can go back in all the writings. People have been saying we're on a path.
so they're not all wrong with their predictions.
But
There, I guess you're right. I didn't say all of them. I said by and large.
What's really scary is like it's not a big swath of the population that's responsible for
This is the first world.
everything, all the pollution. You know what I mean? Like it's what 1,000
big
guys
industrialized
who are
nations.
making all the money.
It seems like it's something you can get a hold of.
If you just purge all the billionaires.
Eat the rich.
I mean, again, it doesn't help that we have companies like BP fucking up the entire ocean by just like, you know, that right there probably set the world back God knows how fucking long. And we have those every decade at this
And
point.
these companies are so tied in with the governments that it's all such a sham. Like they're like slapping them on the wrist, telling them to, you know, clean things up, and
I mean, it's like when you
they're
hear,
getting paid on the other end. It's like
when you hear fines levied by the SEC. It's like, oh, we fined them $15 million. And you're like, they made $4 billion off this. Like, you give poor people speeding tickets for like $700, and then you give billionaires literally what would be a $5 ticket to them. You know, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. Go ahead, Kumar. I know you got another fucking.
I hope you guys can help me explain this. Joe said if you could teleport, if teleportation is possible, then that would mean you could have duplicates. And I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, I don't know what he meant.
Is he
there.
saying if you can teleport in time?
I think the Star Trek idea of teleportation was it like breaks down your body,
Your particles. It's a
into
particle,
all the
yeah.
particles,
And then it sends the
them
particles
somewhere else.
elsewhere.
So I guess it can make another one of you. I don't know. I don't know what he was going on about.
The same amount of particles can be made. I thought one of you guys knew what he meant by that. I think if you could teleport, you just go, unless you went back in time, so you'd see yourself in another time. I think teleportation would just be a breakdown of your molecular structure and it reconstituting somewhere else.
I mean, again, we're at the point in humanity where that can never exist because a massive corporation would create it. And we, the people, would be like, you think I'm going to let some massive corporation break down my fucking particles and send them somewhere? You know what I mean? There would be
terms of service.
But then it'll be like Elon who suggests it, and everyone will do it.
I mean,
People
listen,
have a really funny way of.
as soon as they do it to like 50 goats 100 times and those goats are fine, I think a lot of people might jump on board. Like if you could go New York to Tokyo in...
Of course. And that'd be good for the planet, right?
I wonder
Unless
if
it costs a
I'll
lot of
have,
fossil fuels
incredible.
to do it.
I think I'd have a fear of teleportation, the same kind of way I have a fear of flying. You know.
I mean, Kamar, if you can do that to everyday objects, then we clean up the earth immediately. Just because you're forgetting about cargo shipping.
Yeah, no. Well, for me, that's always been the 3D printer. The 3D printer got so good that it could print anything. You don't need to ship cargo. You just get the design.
The 3D printer is almost teleportation.
Kind of.
It can't teleport a human, but in theory, it's like teleporting a microwave or
Sort of. From the conception to the...
yeah.
But they're just not there yet. She has never taken mushrooms, but she will on her journey. That's what bought the job because she's pregnant. Did you guys pick that up?
I didn't pick that up. No.
She was like, I can't do mushrooms right now. I was like, oh, yeah, I know.
Right. She's pregnant.
She's
Congratulations,
pregnant.
Foxy
Congratulations,
Moxie.
Amanda. She just had a very public miscarriage, though, and I think that's why she didn't talk about it.
Oh,
So good luck to her and her husband. Joe is super critical of himself because he doesn't want to be a failure. Do you think Joe could fall off? Like, 20 years from now, you can find Joe Rogan under a bridge, like, oh, I don't know where it all went wrong.
Super fat, like.
Or maybe skinny and just no teeth.
No, obviously I could not.
He's reached the fuck off point of money that it's generational wealth, and he will always be fine.
Listen, how many ads did everyone get this week?
So many.
Okay, so on that alone, he took that $100 million, gave it to some smart person.
Way more than 100 million.
Whatever. Let's just lowball it at 100 million.
At 2. Let's do that from now on.
Even then, Kamar,
I think it's 100 million.
Okay.
Kamar, let's say he took it in stock.
I think there may be stock as well.
It's part of a deal.
But you know what I mean? Like,
money.
off that alone, this guy, he's so set. It's
He's so set.
It's noteworthy that he's
also-
so set and he's still so critical of himself.
He
There's
also-
never time to take the foot off the gas.
He also mentioned that he has some crypto and was very cryptic about it.
Just a little.
That's
Just a little.
last episode. We'll
The
get to
funniest
that.
thing, though, is in my head, I'm thinking, like, now what is a little to Joe?
Yeah, it's just like, 55
I have
million.
55 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. Like, what?
It's better to be in prison knowing when you get out than to be in prison and not know. Obviously, it's a very obvious statement, right?
Yes, I feel like that's
Well,
the most
and I
obvious.
think
There's a goal at the end. Like,
I think the worst would be to know you're never getting out.
well, death row is the worst, right?
What did Avon Barksdale say? If you do your time right, you only do 2 days. The day you get in, the day you get out.
Just get your mind out of there.
That's right.
That's-
Get your mind right.
That's actually the best way to finish this. Joe's parting words was, if you want the world to be a better place, be less judgmental. I think that's good advice. Very easier to say than to practice, but just give everyone a shot.
I felt like they should have talked about the case more.
Yeah, I
Maybe that's her though.
don't know if
Maybe
she
she's like, I don't want
wants
to talk. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's talking
maybe,
about ad nauseum. Like I said, I would like to just a little bit of like, where do you think your life was going?
I had some questions after rewatching the documentary. I had like a list of questions I would have asked Foxy Noxy that the documentary didn't cover enough for
Great
me.
that you brought
know?
those in here for us.
Well, you're not going to have the answers to them.
It's
He
just for
would have had to
discussion
ask them to
purposes.
Foxy Noxy.
Or maybe I do have the
Well, one
answers.
of them would be, well, in the documentary Foxy Noxy, they said that right away you told whatever, Raffaele, we're not together anymore. 4 days after. Why did you do that? Like, why? That would have been a question I would have asked.
Young and naive. That's my answer to probably every question. You
Let
had.
me ask you both this in closing. If you, knowing what you know now about your life, if you had to do 4 years, would you do it in your 20s or your 30s?
30s.
Or I guess for you guys, it could be your 40s too. Right? Well, no, you're not deep enough into your 40s.
I wouldn't like to lose that prime time of my life.
Yeah, I guess. But I also think about it like maybe it would have put me on the straight and I don't know.
It's a hard
Well, I went
question,
to
man.
jail when I was 17, and that sort of put me on the straighter.
Okay.
So, but to do 4 years of your life, like, I just imagine someone who went to jail 10 years ago and is getting out now. Like, how much the world's changed since they've been in. I've said this before.
Imagine though if you had gone in 10 years ago, but you had bought 500 Bitcoin for like $10.
That guy's out there, I'm sure.
That guy is out there. I read an article about it the other day.
But yeah, she's interesting. Definitely has come around out the other side, and she's doing well. She's expecting her child.
I mean, congrats to her. That's,
Rate it, buys.
Oh, the other question I wanted to know from her was, when the Italian court retried her, but she was back living in the States, and they were waiting to see if they were going to try and like get her to go back to jail. Was the American government just going to let that happen?
Well, they have
and she
extradition.
was
They have extradition with Italy. I'm almost certain, which means they have to.
They have to, like, come on.
Dude, if she's being tried for murder, yes.
I know, but this was obviously a like travesty of justice that was going on. Anyways, again, question I wanted to ask her, like,
I think that would have been a
was
great
there
question.
nobody in the States that was going to step up for her at that point? Did she really think she was going back to jail in Italy? Like, I
think the only way around that would be she gets the time in Italy, and then the U.S. somehow is like, no, let her at least do the time here so she can be closer to home, and then a president pardons her. But I don't even know if you could pardon
I think that
someone.
would have been a great question for Joe to ask you, though.
Anyways,
About the case.
lots of questions that went unanswered. But
Do you want to rate it, Simon?
yeah, I'll give it a 2.5, I guess.
I too give it 2.5.
I give it a 2.
The documentary is better than this podcast.
Well, I mean, this was out of left field. It wasn't like,
the documentary was way better than this podcast. I also thought the documentary left something like, I feel like there was more to the story that wasn't.
Well,
it's interesting because I felt like the documentary could have been shorter, like most.
This gave me a follow-up, though, that where she's landed on her feet, she's fine now, and it's good. I'm happy for her.
Happy for her. Congratulations on the baby, Amanda Knox.
All right, well, I guess we're probably going to have to take a break now. We're going to have to pay a bill, and we will be right back. We're back. Thank you to BetDSI. Don't forget to check them out and use the code JOE100 for your 100% deposit bonus.
Make that money. 1710 Cullen Hoback. I say this is definitely an advantage of Joe's show that he can get anyone. I just feel like this was a little too late.
Yeah, it should have happened in April when Joe should have watched Cue the Storm.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah, but he still gets, I don't know. I mean, he still gets around to these things, so he's not like, it's kind of odd.
Joe rewatches John Wick 17,000 times instead of new docs.
I honestly think he didn't care that much about Q till probably January 6th.
This came out in April.
Okay, I've got nothing.
Well, no, I feel like I'm with you, but it seems like this one was right up his alley, right?
I know, but we would talk about Q way more than Joe. He was just so dismissive of it.
Joe wasn't
on his
into
radar
anything about it at all.
I think the interesting about this is what is the truth? I was watching a little clip about philosophy and that knowledge and the truth are not the same thing. And that you may know your truth is that to get to some place is across a bridge. But if you don't know that bridge is washed out, then that statement's no longer true.
Say that again. I'm so sorry.
Knowledge and the truth are not the same
I
thing.
got that part, yeah.
No, I was just using an example of you think a direction to get someplace is this. But if the geography has changed or something, unbeknownst to you, that's no longer truth. But you'd be walking around going, oh, yeah, take that road and take a left. It's a literal analogy.
People thought that the pyramids were built 6,000 years ago. That was knowledge. They were taught that. That wasn't the truth.
That's not a truth.
Even though that was the knowledge that people had. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, and then just leading to QAnon created a bunch of knowledge that wasn't true.
I found this great quote the other day. In a world of change, the learners shall inherit the earth, while the learned shall find themselves perfectly suited for a world that no longer exists.
That's very good.
That's what I'm saying. If you just think what you know is what is, you're lost. I thought it's funny that he went out of his way to say to Joe, like, I don't think there's really a correlation between QAnons and flat earthers. And Joe wanted to anecdotally say, well, I know all of them are, but I think he honestly felt that there was not a connection between QAnon and flat earthers. They're both
fat earthers.
Fat earthers. But then they talked about how censorship fails in both ways. And that's what we're learning right now. You know what I mean?
What are the two ways?
Well, first off, with the Hunter Biden emails, they censored that, but it was a true story. You know what I mean? So obviously they're doing it with their intention, like this could be damning to the president and the stakes are too high. We've got to protect Biden or whatever. But then his example was even people debunking QAnon were taken down.
Because the algorithm doesn't disparage.
Because the algorithm doesn't, it just
blanket. Anything that said Q got taken down.
So, and that's the example of censorship fails both ways. In its intention, doesn't always work. Like it was intention to stop misinformation, but it also stopped information that could provide people maybe thought that this is bullshit. So it's able to propagate. Because it is crazy how, trolls try something like Q all the time.
Trolls what?
Trolls, like the people on the 4chan,
Yeah.
8chan or whatever, this is their dream to have something catch on like wildfire and become this. You know what I mean? And that this happened is happenstance. It wasn't a crazy. I mean, what we know now. That's why I found this difficult to listen to this podcast, because he was reiterating so much stuff about it.
Did we ever find out though, like why? Oh, it was because it was an anon. No, it was because they had Q clearance. That's why anybody gave them any.
Well, they believe that. We
Yeah,
never. That was never like
post 3067 or whatever. All that made this very convoluted for me. This podcast, him talking about the other posts and like, because we're at the finish line, right? And going back over the stuff, say stuff maybe he didn't mention in the podcast for time or whatever, and the chip codes and the Q and I had to keep going to IMDb because they were just using first names, Frank and Tank, and I mean, who's the guy? He's got a real ordinary name. Ron.
And his father is Jim. And the little guy is
Fred.
Like, there weren't that many people to keep track of.
Oh, there were. Then he brought up Bannon and then the other guy that helped. Anyways, big shout out. HBO deserves to be the Hall of Fame of entertainment, if it exists, right?
Oh, it's already in my Hall of Fame.
There's nothing better that's hit it out of the park more times. And thank God for them, because as he said, there'd be no other platform for this to get legs. So shout out to HBO if you want to sponsor us.
Don't forget, too, there wouldn't be like a Netflix wouldn't be putting on all these comedians if HBO hadn't laid the groundwork.
Boxing, comedians,
Everything.
Documentaries, drama series, comedy series. I
Well,
love
they
HBO.
changed television
changed the
drama
game.
They
forever.
changed the game, and I still think they're killing it. But Netflix and Amazon Prime seem like they're bigger players.
Do you guys know what HBO stands for?
Home box office. Was I correct?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I knew that. I just didn't get a chance to say.
that's okay.
And so the irony is, they sort of try to put the algorithms to do the work.
I think it's not that they tried to; they have to, right? Like Joe talks about it. I don't think it's too much scale. Like we know that for a
Yeah,
fact.
you can't have a person doing it for every case. It's impossible.
But I thought, yeah, of course that makes sense. But their reason for that also is because humans were flawed. Like they could,
Well, that
interject
too,
their
they have
feelings into whatever,
bias.
and they're hoping the algorithm is just
But not to mention, it's just not feasible, right? Like
there's too much data.
what did what's the guy who works with Joe?
Jamie?
What did Jamie say? How many posts there are a day on YouTube?
It's fucking staggering.
Like
It's
some
millions
number that
of
doesn't
hours.
even make any sense.
Oh, the video uploaded to the
Yeah.
tweets. So of course it's going to be an algorithm, but the algorithm is failing just as much as the humans have. So here we
Yeah,
are.
what should happen is if it gets pulled, it should then go to a human board of some kind that then makes the decision.
But
Right?
But I think
unfortunately,
that's what
that
happens
human
right
board
now.
I
is
mean,
biased.
no, it doesn't, because tons of people will tell you we never get a response. Nobody ever tells us why it got pulled. Like, there's obviously no human interaction involved. It's
But the problem
Anyways.
is with that, once it got to the humans then are biased. So we're back to where we started, right?
yeah, but the idea is that you have a board, so you get an even distribution of like different walks of life making the decision, and hopefully you have some Democrats and some Republicans and some black people and some white people, and you get a good cross section on your committees.
In a perfect world, but that's not supposed to
But
happen.
can I also ask you, Kamar, like if you can't really it's tough to run a business where you're saying like you were just saying who decides, right? So if you're them and you want to say, okay, no QAnon stuff, then you have to also take down the people that are anti-Q, right? Because then you're discriminating against the other people. So you're kind of
What if in an alternate reality, Q was anti-Trump? Then all of a sudden, Twitter would
it
want
would be
to keep it
totally
going.
different, and you can see that
But hold
because
on.
just look at Antifa.
hold on. But again, if I think it's different, like if Antifa were out there, I'm just trying to think
Taking
of like
over buildings, they did that in Oregon.
that's not what I was going to say at all. I
burning
wasn't
cities.
going to say that at all.
Well,
I was
just
trying
thought
to
I'd
u-
throw that in there.
Yeah, I'm well aware they were. That's not what I'm saying.
No, but they did that, and everybody was just like, "Oh, that's okay, no problem." It was obviously a problem. It's a problem on any side if people are taking over your fucking governments.
Sure, I think you realize the difference though. Like if we were right now to, I don't know, storm City Hall, it's a lot different than say if an armed mob took over Parliament, right? Like those are two totally different things. You do realize
The
that.
reason for
I mean,
it.
they're different things, but they're both just, public breakdown in society.
I agree. I'm
one
not
is on a
disagreeing with that.
lesser scale, yeah.
If we thought they were holding children in a dungeon down in City Hall, our intent would be to storm it for the right reasons.
Yeah, and if we get there and there's no kids, I mean,
we're at ping pong, common pizza.
Well,
or
that
whatever.
happened. I was
Exactly,
going to say
exactly,
that
exactly.
was.
but either way, that wasn't the point I was trying to get at. So we lost my point now because I've forgotten. I couldn't think of the good. It doesn't matter. Keep going.
The weeds got him. Yeah. So what you talked about during the Man and Knox, the terms of services totally fucked us.
Terms and service, yeah.
Like that basically is signing a deal to sell your soul.
That was
in
the
a weird way. You know
that
what
was
I mean?
the moment. Because had we not done that as like a society, just
But that's what
decided
hot coffee's about.
Yeah, and that's what his documentary Terms and Service is about.
We all collectively are lazy and just said, yeah, whatever. Just I want to see the tits or whatever.
You had just
platform you're
got
on.
your new iPhone. You know what I mean?
I don't have time to read this stuff.
Either way, even if you did have time, you are not a lawyer.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to see it.
So it
was
doesn't-
fine print. And you
That's
wouldn't
the-
have understood when it said, we're taking your data and doing this with it.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have understood what that meant.
And it's
at the
too far
beginning.
gone now. They know too much about us.
But it was also an
Service our shit back to us. and
But it
tell
was
us it's
also
ice cream.
it was an unknown quantity at the time. Like you couldn't back then put a price on everyone's data. Whereas now I think you might be able to, like what it's worth. You know what I mean? It's like if we dug something out of the ground right now,
Right.
That
I
we
see.
and we were
It
like, we
had-
don't.
It had no value at that point.
That's what I'm saying. Is at that time we couldn't put a price on it. We didn't fucking know. No one really. I'm not even.
I bet they knew.
They-
Second, everyone in this neighborhood does this. Like, analytics starts coming and they go, whoa, we can use this.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like in the early like analytics had to start somewhere, right? I'm talking about like the analytics.
Well, they started with ratings. But
I'm talking about
TV to show the high ratings. Okay, let's make a program.
Talking about
like that.
metadata though. Like
yes.
internet metadata
That's
is a level above
15
fucking
years old
the
or whatever
Nielsen rating. So I'm saying in the early days of that, I believe you. I think someone there, Kamar, knew. They were like, this is probably worth a ton. But what I'm saying is they couldn't put a price on it at that time. So we didn't even know. And I'm not sure they really fully grasped it.
But they fully
I mean,
grasped
they-
that.
Oh, now they're well aware.
We couldn't put a price on it. They could put a price on it.
But this is okay. I think we're talking about different days though, because I'll agree with you that like someone like the CIA, they could put a price on it. They knew long before.
So did Facebook, though, let's say. You know what I mean?
Again, think about Zuckerberg. He created it to get laid.
I know, but by the time that they went to like apply those terms and service and said in there, we're
Hold
going to
on.
use your data for something other than.
Yeah, sure, but that's later on in the game. What I'm saying is like
that's when it's when those were put into effect. At the beginning, I don't think Zuckerberg may be different, but most of them, I don't think they made their companies to dominate the world. That was just like a nice coincidence.
And it feels like the terms of services changed a couple times.
oh, they've
This
changed.
is the
They
very
change
first
all the time, of
exactly.
course.
And that's probably one of the terms of services.
But Facebook would be like just the ultimate fucking winds of change. I mean, it would be so goddamn brilliant.
Well, just think about where we are in general. Like if you go to most people's grandparents, if you went back in time and were like, would you put all your information out there for the world to see? They'd be like, what are you, fucking nuts? If I was like, okay, what if I put a listening device in your house that would sell you, sorry, in your house, in your house, that would sell you, goods that you wanted? They'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not buying.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like, dude, they give Alexas away with everything now. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Like that thing should
wanna
cost.
monitor everyone.
That thing should cost $100 every time, but instead it's like, oh, you bought $50 worth of groceries here. Have an Alexa. You're like, what?
Amazon
You'll be back.
decided to make fucking video doorbells. There's a very particular reason that they did that,
course.
Matthew.
Yes.
The Ring?
The Ring, correct.
Do you know who made like Nas made like $1 billion off that?
It was Shaq, actually.
No, Nas also. I assume they went to a lot of.
The weirdest one is General Flynn. Because you think he's an intelligent person, right? Well, he's a general.
I mean,
Yeah, but don't we know that those guys usually fail up?
We know they
Because like you got to be a
lie, but-
company man.
I guess, but he wasn't a company man. That's why he got the boot. He was a Trump guy. But before Trump, he was in general, like, he spent years.
I mean, that's like
Troops
saying,
and
oh,
stuff.
well, he's a cop, so he's smart. Like, I just
If
get
it's
out of here.
No,
you know?
if you said he's a detective, I would say he's smart.
But even then, I'll give you an example. There's a guy right now that's the chief of police in the States. He's the guy that let the Asian kid that Jeffrey Dahmer raped and killed go.
Oh, yeah, I remember that story.
Remember how the kid showed up with like
So he
bloody
thought that-
anus and
they're like, "We don't
Jeffrey
want to
Dahmer
deal with
showed
that."
up after and was like, no, he's with me.
Yeah.
It's not what you think.
we
and they were like,
just
okay.
doing a play.
Yeah.
And that guy got to be chief of
He
police.
is now the chief
in
of
Milwaukee.
police. Is that, yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, that's where Jeffrey Dahmer
Then
was. I'm
yes.
assuming that's a. Well, so anyways, there's an army of 100,000 Japanese that love Flynn.
Japanese?
Yeah, that's
That's what
crazy.
he said.
Yeah.
Like, just
missed that
somehow they
part.
picked it up that he's a hero. And
Well,
there's
because Q is huge in Japan.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
'Cause
yes,
the
yes. I did.
Chans are
Yes,
huge
yes.
in
My
Japan.
apologies. Yes.
the Chans are huge. The Channels, not the Chans family. No disrespect.
Well, no, the Chans are probably Chinese and they don't get along.
definitely-
The Chans, as in the 4chan, 8chan, the other Chans. I don't
12chan.
know. They probably have a lot of Chans in Japan.
But do you think
Kek-chan.
Do you think he was duped by it, or he was like, "Hey, it's working. I'm gonna
General Flynn?
lean into it"?
Well,
Like he did Q salutes and like.
the part that nobody talked about in this documentary was how much did Donald Trump actually know about all of this?
Well, Steve Bannon came out this week on his podcast and made it pretty clear that him and Trump were actively pushing January 6th. I'm just paraphrasing. I'm not. I only saw a clip of it, so I don't have the full. I'm not sitting here like fucking Trump did it.
I'm not talking about January 6th even. I'm just talking about like, let's say you're Ron, okay? You know how Joe was saying, well, why are they listening to Ron? Why is Ron advising on White House, whatever? Well, that would make total sense if, and the General Flynn thing would make sense too, if Trump, as soon as Q switched from, what's his name? You're bugging me now.
Fine, keep it. I'm not going to ask
From
again.
what's his name? You know the original guy, the South African guy there? I think
Yes.
he was?
Yeah.
I don't think we know.
When he said the
That's-
source code changed.
That's when the voice changed.
Yeah.
If at that point Ron did that and looped Trump in on it, because that would really help if Trump was like supporting Q, right? Which he did, retweeting things that he said or they said. That just all added to the credibility for Q, which I think a lot of people at that point would have known was different. Like if I'm following Q and it's one way, the narrative is one way, it's a voice, and then all of a sudden it changes channels and everything kind of gets different. Like I imagine a lot of people would question that. Even Q people, like that's a conspiracy person's fucking wet dream, right? Like you got to be really fucking blind. But if the president, the other guy that you really trust, is on board, I feel like that gave it this credibility. So if Trump was in on it the whole time, that would explain why General Flynn would have known exactly what he knew. And
My theory is he didn't know. It was just like, hey, it's working. Whatever this is, like, run with it. Because obviously Ron, once he took over, got analytics and started feeding stuff that he knew. Do you know what I mean? Successful posts he'd see and say, okay, more of that. If he's curating Q, which for all intents and purposes,
yeah, but
we know that.
Sure, I'll agree.
And
to
we know that once people see stuff that they want to see, then it's very easy for them to buy into it. Versus you saying there's a little skip or like, oh, this is weird.
No. It's not just a little skip, man. That's a huge deal. When you're posting on one place and then all of a sudden you switch to a whole new venue, like that's really fucking weird. I wouldn't trust that. I just wouldn't. I know you don't want to disparage Trump at all, but like,
I'm disparaging Flynn. I'm
it would
disparaging Trump.
totally explain it if he was in on this thing the whole time, especially why he has Ron as an advisor at the end. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm with Joe there. That makes zero sense. Why him?
I just find it incredible that a sitting president had time to be on 8chan ever.
I don't think he was. I think it was
So you think someone just was like feeding
or his
him?
son or whatever.
Okay, fair enough.
And like I said, the shit's working. They're eating it up.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
go.
that I can buy. I was just picturing him on Air Force One, like in his office.
Is it that crazy though, Maddie? We live in this like cyber world now. Like that's what made Trump so fucking brilliant. Is he was willing to like get into those places where dinosaurs like Biden would never. People like me, you know what I mean? Like,
it's different. It's one thing being like, oh, this president's like tweeting a lot versus being like, this guy is on what could only really be described as, I don't know.
no, I'm not. It's just that's what he did. It's probably why he won the election. He was willing to go places that other people weren't willing to go.
I agree.
It's why he did so many appearances in like the Rust Belt, I guess. I don't know.
I was listening to
Talking
describe
out
it.
my ass.
I was listening to describe it, and it seems like it's the ultimate revenge of the nerds.
I don't know why you're so angry, son.
I'm not angry. I'm not.
Oh, you're angry. Just
Q
do your
is the
thing.
ultimate revenge of the nerds. Like the nerds stick it to the world almost. You know what I mean?
Well, think about it. A guy like Ron should never have a documentary made about him in any world,
Yeah. And
right?
you guys were able to follow, like I was saying, we was talking about trip codes and posts and like it was common knowledge to him because he was balls deep in this for 4 years, you know what I mean? And anyone who's on these posts, like you've never been to 8chan in life, have you?
No.
So you don't even know what it
But
is.
I understood what they were talking
I
about.
did not. So I just found like,
It was just ways to authenticate people.
but it was information that wasn't necessary. It was just him dropping technical jargon that didn't make me move one way or the other about the way these people moved.
You watched the doc, right?
I did.
So
But Kamar, I was just real quick. Did it not make you feel like at least the guy making the documentary knew a shitload about what he was?
Too much.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
He knew too much about what he's talking about.
it was all he was doing was providing us with the paper trail.
A little bit behind the
digital
scenes.
paper trail.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you want on a documentary. We want to see your work.
Which I think there'd be a digital paper trail on Trump if he was in on it. You know what I mean?
He was in on it. We know he was because he was tweeting about it.
Well, that doesn't mean he's in on it.
No. But that I don't know if you're going to get more of a paper trail than that is all I'm saying.
Well, no, if he's like, Ron, I like the work you're doing. Like in on it. Anyways,
I know what Kamar's saying, and I agree. Like I
see
can't.
what you're
I
saying.
couldn't connect the lines to be like Trump was like had connect. I don't know. I just don't.
or
see.
they knew all this IP in the post, and because
But they obviously did know each other because Trump made him a political advisor like
Ron
Ron.
after the fact, though, right?
Not after what fact? After seeing the documentary?
No, like now he is, isn't he? I don't think he was while he was president.
No, he was leading up to August 6th or whatever
January
that
6th. I don't think he
was.
was.
That the date? Yeah, man, that's what they were talking about.
because the
That's what they were talking about.
Okay.
Q aside,
Maybe I'm wrong.
Q aside,
Either way, either way, I think it proves that Donald Trump was involved.
Q aside, these message boards are just for people to be as horrible as they can, and no one can outdo each other. You know what I mean?
What message boards? Come on.
4chan, 8kun, like I'm so confused about them all, but the end result is for people to be 100% anonymous and post nasty stuff.
It's because they're not allowed to post this stuff on the big guys, so they have to go find
and they just feed
somewhere
each
else to
other,
post
and
it.
it's like, is the world a better place if they weren't allowed to have these?
No, and I'll
'Cause
tell
that's
you
the
why.
ultimate censorship.
He had a lot of child porn on
Ron.
8chan, 4chan. They're littered with child porn.
Yeah,
He is
it's a
constantly
horrible
fighting
place.
lawsuits. So those places don't seem like they should be in existence. Not like they are anyways, if that's the case. Any child porn is too much child porn, right? We're all in agreement?
Yeah, but these places exist, so is the world a better place if we stop these things? I don't know if you can either.
No, and I'll tell
I
you
don't
why.
understand them.
I'll tell you why. It's because it's a lot like slavery, where the U.S. had slavery. Half the country was like, no bueno. Other half the country was like, no, we like this. We're going to keep this. They fought a war over it. And then just because one side won the war, they assumed that like these guys were just going to start feeling the way they did. And that never really became the case. And it's the same thing where like just because you get rid of 8chan doesn't mean you get rid of racism or the people that are on there feeling that way. Like those people are out there in the world.
No, but again, like,
but there's some people who aren't out there. They're just being as rude and crude as they can, but they aren't bad.
Sure.
This goes to what we were talking about earlier, Matt. Like, yeah, those people are out there in the world, but before the internet, they used to have to like drive 1,000,000 miles to get together to reach each other, to share their terrible ideas. And now they're able to do that blinkety blinkety blink.
I get it, but as we know with freedom of speech, it has nothing to do with like what is it what the three of us believe is a terrible idea 40 years from now might be the absolute norm in the world.
Okay, sure.
So I'm just saying you can't be the auditor of, and that's the idea of free speech. We can't decide what is and isn't. Again, we can sit here and all agree, yeah, kiddie porn's bad, and like 99% of the world can agree with that. And hopefully that stays the case. But again, the line moves, with time.
The problem is we say we want a competitor for YouTube.
Yeah.
This is what happens when that competitor exists, because otherwise they just become YouTube. You see what I'm saying? Like they moderate what goes on there.
Yeah.
You don't want them to it's a double-edged sword.
But again, what we learned from Q the Storm is that you cannot have a successful business model being 8chan or 4chan. Like YouTube,
the bad catches up with
YouTube is the size they are because they make the money through ads. And again, I've said this. I truly believe that YouTube would rather there was no political shit on there at all. It was just kids opening fucking toys, gamers, the Logan Pauls of the world vlogging. Like they would love it if there was no one talking about ivermectin, COVID at all, period.
I think I agree, the shareholders would love that. But I think the people who now like the power that they've gotten from it wouldn't like that. They want to be able to, talk about whatever they want to push.
Sure. Okay.
You don't think?
I don't know.
Obviously, Ron has an ego and thinks he's the smartest guy in the world.
Oh yeah.
Do you think now he's like, I should have done that?
No, I think he believes that he's like, I'm 4 steps ahead of this guy.
He's
Like
still happy he did
I got him where I want him.
Storm documentary.
Yeah.
I think Ron has probably seen how easy it is to con people, and he'll go on and try and do that again in another capacity.
Yeah, him and his dad seemed like swindlers, like snake oil salesmen.
I feel like they already have their next cue.
Their next
planned,
grift.
Yeah.
See, I think this is weird. Like, if anyone who's seen Into the Storm, like, they're just exposed. These charlatans.
Yeah, but you don't. But see, this is the thing, Kamar, is like
who would go to business with them going forward?
The thing is, though, is like, think about like a Marjorie Tyler Greene or Taylor Greene, whatever the fuck her name is. She's someone who's like probably still so like, oh, this documentary was put out by the deep state to make them look bad. It's all, you know what I mean? Like,
but again, I'm just saying, if someone associated her with Ron, they're like, well, it's so easy to expose that you're working with a liar or someone making stuff like because of the Q Into the Storm documentary. He's lost all credibility. Like it would be detrimental to work with him now in publicly. I would assume that was the other thing. Like I said, the Amanda Knox documentary is better than the podcast. The Q documentary is better than this podcast because it was going over so much stuff that we knew. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, again, the problem.
He went back in time and said, "Oh, you're at January 6th already." He told the story over again to finally say, "Yeah," and that's when Ron broke. Like he wanted to curate how we talked about the documentary.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, this thing should have just come out in April.
It would have been way more relevant.
Yeah, it was a little weird. It felt a little self-serving to Joe at this point.
he loved it. Wanted to get the guy on first.
But I listen. I still really liked the podcast. I thought it was great. I liked hearing all the guys like insight into him making it and to how he was like thinking Ron was guilty the whole time. Because as you're watching the documentary, you're like, oh, he only started thinking that in episode 4. You know what I mean? But no, he was like, no, I got that feeling right at the beginning. The whole thing, I don't know. Like it was, he must have, how the guy did, what was the one about the Olympics there? He was doing a documentary
Icarus, yeah.
and then it turned into something else. That's what this guy must have thought. I'm doing this documentary about Q and these guys, and all of a sudden it's like they are Q. You know what I mean? It's all becoming something.
That's what I would have
going.
liked if we had a little more like how he got into it, because we don't. He just sort of picks it up and it comes out that he was just funding it himself and then got to HBO, which is an amazing gamble.
I think he said that he had done that terms and condition documentary.
It was just very brief about him.
Yeah.
The whole thing was about Storm, and I just the steps, because it was sort of interesting how that guy, the steps of I want to see if steroids work, got into this. Just where he was in life before this. I just thought it would have been interesting, and that's the same criticism out for the next.
Steroids work.
Icarus.
He was doing a documentary about one thing and then fell onto something else. I thought that's what you're trying to say. Green hat in China means you're a cuck. That was
such a weird. Yeah,
I looked it up, and that's what it means too.
it's so weird.
It said back in the day, if you were in China working as sex workers, you'd have to wear a green hat, so it knows you're involved in the seedy side. But I guess girls.
So what does a cuck mean exactly?
Your wife cheated on you.
Okay.
Doesn't that mean you like to watch your wife cheat on you?
I think that's cuckolding.
Oh, okay, sorry.
There's a difference.
What did he call it? Cuckold dove?
Cuckold dove. No, but that's not what he said. He said cuckold something, and Joe
it
thought
was like
he said
yeah.
cuckold dove.
Well, I think we invented the great word, and it's
it
cuckold
was
dove from now
cuckold
on.
dove is a great word.
Cuckold dove.
You guys, obviously, this is a redundant question, but like Telegram, Minds, all the, you know what I mean? Like there are other alternatives.
And none of us use them.
None of you even think about it. Well, you use DuckDuckGo once in a while.
No, never.
You just Google it.
Yeah. We're going to talk about
Yes, we
that
will.
in the next one because it's such an important part of...
I thought it ironic that I think Ron started Q to try to fight for free speech, keep the thing going, that end up shutting everything down.
Whoa.
I disagree with that.
Whoa. Let's back
You
up.
genuinely
What
think
did
Ron?
What do you think?
You think Ron started 8chan just because he cared
No,
about?
Q. The Q thing was
Ron
like,
didn't start Q.
we don't know who started Q then.
We do. I think we do. I think it was that
we
guy.
think we do, but we don't
Okay,
know.
well,
And he
I
says
think it's
that.
pretty safe to think it was the South African dude there.
But in the documentary, Ron's whole thing is about free speech. Like, I'm not taking it down because obviously, once you know everything,
Ron was making so much money.
were they? I
No,
thought
they
were
no,
struggling.
they were not making money. You kept telling me that they were losing money.
They were
That's why he had
making
to sell
money
the pig farm.
on other things, but losing money on this.
I think the Q thing was going to pay off for him.
If Trump won, maybe. But in the end, it
No.
all blew up in
I
his face.
think I agree with Kamar. If Trump wins and Q remains like part of the, it never gets.
Okay, how does he make money?
Well, other people were making money off it, the QTubers and all.
Yeah,
that.
but they're making money off YouTube. He is running a website called 8chan that costs him money that has no advertising.
Servers and whatnot,
And
yeah.
yes, the bigger the website gets, the more money it costs. So I actually think if Trump wins, it
Well,
costs them
okay.
more money.
Sure, maybe it's not a money thing. Maybe it's a power thing because
that's something, sure.
It makes him a player
Yeah.
in like almost the political game.
There, I'm with you
as
now,
we
yeah.
see, which eventually is going to lead to money.
Now
we
you're
know that.
Now you're
Matt.
cooking with fucking
So it's
fire.
just 2 steps to getting to money.
All right.
Did it surprise you because he was at January 6th when he said, "I thought it was going to be a lot worse"? Like, that should give you an insight in how no one knew what was going on, even if you were standing outside the building. I thought that was really like telling, because he said he was at the scaffolding side and people were climbing up, but I had no idea what was going on inside, or where you think everyone knew that it was pandemonium, but I don't think it. Obviously, I think it's was allowed to happen, and for the powers to be, it couldn't have worked out better to make Trump look bad. But I thought it was telling him, because he's not a Trump supporter, so he thinks it was incited by Trump for sure.
Well, I have a tough time believing that you're like, I mean, Trump sent people down there. So whether you believe they didn't have enough fucking security or not is one thing, but like he did tell people you should go down there with a certain intent. Did he not?
Mix it up. But I don't know. They tried to impeach him. I feel like I could have impeached Trump.
But hold on, the only
weren't able to.
reason they didn't impeach him was because the Republicans said we would impeach him. He's impeachable, but he's not even going to be president, so there's no point in doing it. Also because they want him to run again.
Exactly, to protect him from running again. But
Yeah.
I think it could have been an open and shut case. That they have
I
no
agree.
foot to stand on.
Hold on, wait. Who has no foot to stand on?
The Republicans.
Trump? Oh, yeah.
If they could make it so overwhelming, like
That Trump incited a riot.
kick in the door and stuff like that. They're like, we know he did it, but
He texted kick in the door?
did not. But I'm just saying, some sort of smoking gun.
He texted kick in the door.
It just came out though today or this week that there was a FBI agent who was communicating the whole time with a Proud Boy, the whole day, January.
I believe
6th.
that, of course. That's like par for the course at this point.
But what was interesting is the Proud Boy wasn't saying we're going to bust down the doors. He was just saying, yeah, the crowds are building up, and then all of a sudden it was just someone smashed a window and herd.
I was just going to say, we know what happens in
went out of
crowds,
control.
though. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not saying it fully excuses everyone. Like, listen,
they're
Kamar,
getting
there was videos of like old women who looked like they had no fucking clue, like just moving with the crowd. Like, oh, I guess we're going inside. And
After watching, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I also don't think people like that are getting charged to the level that, like, you know,
I haven't looked into that much, but I think it wasn't planned for that to happen.
but you just said it was planned by the powers that be.
It was not a plan to have the doors kicked in, cops die.
A cop
Pepper
didn't die.
spray
I thought
everywhere.
that was bullshit, wasn't it?
Well, he had a heart attack 2 days later.
Okay.
Whatever the stories come out true. What happened on January 6th was not. Somebody was happy it happened, but no one was hoping it happened. Does that make sense?
Oh, listen, I'm
It
sure when
it wasn't planned.
whenever something bad like that happens, someone's making a ton of money. Someone somewhere.
And that's what I got from him saying, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. Like, I thought we had a civil war in hand. And to someone else, I guess, say on the other side of the building, you thought there was a civil war happening.
Yeah, you might have.
8chan was started based on coming down off of mushrooms, which is kind of weird. Because we always think mushrooms make the world a better place. And we just said, well, you said maybe 40 years from now, 8chan will be the savior.
I just said you never know, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I just thought it was interesting that there's mushrooms doing its little head, its little cap.
I mean, it's like we were talking the other day about how, like what could beat YouTube? Like it would take a Goliath of something will come along.
But I think it'll be somebody, not a corporation.
Oh, we have to. Don't even.
Yeah,
bother.
Okay,
This
fine.
is
Yeah, we'll get there.
everything,
Sure. Yeah.
man. This is everything.
We got to move on though.
He said there's no way Q would have gotten out and become what it was without the algorithm. Like it saw people pumping it up and spread it.
Yeah.
So again, the algorithm fuck us. What do you think? Because right now in the mainstream media, the big lie is Trump saying the election was fixed. Do you think that's the biggest lie?
What do you mean?
Well, he said he thought the biggest lie was weapons of mass destruction, George Bush. I think those are two.
Oh.
Can you think of a bigger lie?
But that is a lie. Like we know that for a fact.
What is?
We don't know the election was fixed.
Well, I want to say this.
Weapons of mass destruction. We know there were no weapons of mass
So you
destruction.
think that is the biggest lie? Trump saying the election was fixed is the biggest lie that's tearing the country apart now. That is the narrative. I think weapons of mass destruction was a way more detrimental lie. I was trying to think of any other lies. Like Obviously, the Vietnam War lie, that was pretty bad.
But I mean, it depends what you mean by detrimental. And I'm not trying to be, I'm just saying, like, if detrimental means lives, then of course, way more detrimental. But if detrimental, like Trump, this whole, the last like 3 election cycles have all been marred in people talking about election fraud. And like, if that's the case moving forward, it's just going to be a big problem.
It is
Especially when you have like sitting presidents actively and a lot of people in Congress. Sorry, go ahead, Simon.
No. I was just going to say, like, we forget so quickly George Bush Jr., those machines were supposed to be wonky in Florida. It cost the election.
Yeah, the recount. Well, we're also forgetting that Dick Cheney is the biggest problem the world has had in the last 50 years.
Unless you're Cheney, then you're rooting for him.
Or a Bush.
I'm just saying, if you
Bush
think about
did
it,
pretty well under Cheney.
he didn't even want to be president because
Or
he knew he could just quietly run the shit. He's the reason that they went to Afghanistan. He's the reason all that shit went down.
No,
I
he's a
believe
problem.
He's the reason ISIS got created. But I think
Here's what I heard.
George Sr. is the worst.
Osama bin
Wait,
Laden.
let me
that's
drop
all
some.
Rumsfeld,
Let me drop
right?
some fun numbers.
George Bush.
Let me drop some fun numbers on you that came out.
Rumsfeld. What's his name?
Cheney.
Go ahead, Cheney.
Donald Rumsfeld.
No, Cheney. Go ahead.
They said that in the 20 years they were there, they spent $14 trillion and $7 trillion of it went to private contractors.
Yeah, I saw that. And
So they
all
pretty
along,
much
they're
just
saying we're making
$7
progress.
trillion of taxpayer money went to, and again, Dick Cheney went from running Halliburton to being the vice president and sending them to
Contracts to Halliburton.
Afghanistan under
You
the
have
false
people starving in your own country,
$7 trillion.
and nobody has a problem with that.
Like $7 trillion is free healthcare. That's free college. It's probably universal basic income if you want to get fucking real about it. Like $7 trillion is a staggering amount of money.
I want to know if it's true what Bernie was saying about you do 1% of that tax and it pays for everything.
That's that's a point in the next one. We'll just finish this up. So he basically summed it up as collective imagination willed something into existence.
Yeah.
All these guys got excited, and then all of a sudden, you've got people storming. You got guys wearing buffalo heads. You got people making money off Q. Do you think we are now, like, do we learn something?
No, we never learn
This
anything.
is going to happen again.
Yeah.
Something. Like
It's
this.
happened before. It'll happen again.
It's a runaway train.
It's the same thing. It's just like religions that start like Scientology. You know what I mean? It's
It's all
Marty,
because of the
you-
fucking algos.
You even see it in, I find it like in language a lot where like someone will say bro and you'll think it's you'll hate it, right? And then you'll say it as a joke to someone. You'll constantly start using it like, oh yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. And the next thing you know, you're saying bro all the time and it just becomes part of your vernacular. And
It's a lot less harmless than the QAnon.
no, it is, but I'm just talking about in every facet of our life, we do these things where like memes become a real thing. And
There are overmasters, the algorithm
Yeah.
and the meme. Rated boys,
well, it's because we've been infected with this fucking
terms and services.
outside organism. And
We
don't
consented
even
to be
realize-
infected.
Yeah,
yeah.
we signed away our fucking
And now
back to
we
be
complain
used
about
as
it on a
a-
weekly basis.
a backpack.
I give it a 3.
Documentary way better than the podcast.
I give it a 4.
I was confused, 2.5.
Oh wow, all over the map.
confused.
Look at us go. Should have been on. This guy should have been on in April.
I agree, but this guy, like, this was a great fucking documentary. This guy got
Yeah,
right
great
in
documentary.
there
And
and,
pri-
really gave us who Q was, as far as I'm concerned.
Say he comes on before the whole thing comes out, so he has to what's it called? Plot spoiler. Like I can't say.
No, but he can
I
come
mean,
on
wait,
right after.
Yeah,
Right
I
after.
know.
Right
Joe
after.
didn't see it. I'm just saying he could.
It would have been
That'd be
amazing
worst.
had we had been talking about this kind of in real time.
Yeah. Listen, here's the.
Can only hope one day.
I just don't understand in closing. Joe watches this thing 6 months too late. That's fine. It happens, I guess. But this seems very relevant to Joe. And then has this guy on. He has Darren Brown on and will not watch 1 hour of the push. It's a fucking game changer.
I was just thinking about Darren Brown. That's so funny.
Like,
If
the talk
something
they coulda
happened,
had.
If we got on the show, we'd say we're not doing this podcast, Joe. When we get there, We fucking Trojan horse him.
We're all
Sit
watching
down,
the
we're
push
watching the
right
push.
now together, and we're discussing
Son of
it.
a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Drop the mic. I'm out of here.
And again, if you are listening to this podcast, it's rare that I'll say this. Stop. Hit stop. You can come back to us later. Go watch
the
Darren
push.
Brown's The Push.
And the best is if you could sneak up behind Joe just as the guy is about to do it, and
I kind of
maybe
have
like
to.
tactile.
I
fucking
kind of
vision.
have to know if Joe's ever watched The Push.
I want to know.
I need to know.
I want to know.
Do you believe he wouldn't have spoken about it at this point? When I saw it, it was one of the most mind-blowing experiences of my life.
No, because then he'd have to admit that, he had him on. It didn't, it's too late. He's already too far into the
I don't
line
know.
to ever go
'Cause
back.
he watched the other one.
What, the word where they put the guy in the trunk or whatever, that one?
where you
No,
see
I
if
don't
you'll
think he
s-
watched
if you
any
shoot
of them,
someone
did he?
or save someone's life.
I don't think he watched 1 second of anything Darren Brown ever did.
Anyways, this
Dude,
is
the push.
this is
Oh
our
my God.
mission in life is to find out if Joe saw the push or
I need
Get Joe
everyone to
watch
watch
The
The Push because
Watch
it
The
will
Push.
fuck up your whole outlook on people and reality.
it seems like we're going in a bad direction once you watch the push. I wonder if it's still on Netflix.
I don't think so. I haven't
It's
seen a
on
lot of.
somewhere.
I believe it is still on Netflix, yeah.
Well, in Canada, I'm telling you, go fucking
is,
find
yeah.
that shit. It
There's
will
a couple
fuck
of
your head up.
Darren Brown ones on there. The Push and maybe it's not on them. Maybe it's on Prime now. I don't know. It's on one of them for sure.
Just know that 2 out of 3 people will kill you to hide a body. That's pretty much that's the
And
synopsis.
they're both
like,
sitting at this table.
Well, this is the thing though. Once you go along for in for a penny, in for a
I
pound.
guess, yeah. All right, well, let's get on with it.
This is I'm super interested to see how. I didn't know you were a fan of his. 1711, Patrick Bet David.
I wouldn't say a fan. Like
You listen to his show.
I listen to his show,
It's
yeah.
not a hate listen though.
No. I listen. I listen to
You don't
all.
have a poster of him on your wall.
No, I listen to all sides. I will say that when I listen to his podcast, I often have counterpoints where I wish I was there. I mean, that's also what makes a good podcast
Of course.
is wanting to be like, no, like
An agree-a-thon is boring.
I was so impressed by this guy that he was able to talk so eloquently with Joe's dick in his mouth the entire time.
Well, I felt he was grating. I do not like the way he talks. I've seen him in clips.
yeah,
We
he does.
know what side he's on.
Oh yeah. He does this super annoying thing though on his podcast, and he did it a few times on this, where he asks a question like really matter of factly as if the answer is obvious. Like it would be like, what is the most popular thing in housing?
Kitchen sinks.
No. And then, but it's like, dude, just either fucking tell
Did
me.
you know the most popular thing housing was?
Well, it doesn't
Master
matter.
bedroom.
It doesn't matter, but he always he asked it's fucking annoying. I hate.
I found him.
I probably do it too.
I didn't hate this podcast because, frankly, and we're going to get to it, I really liked something he did.
Well, he did what we've been
or
begging.
tried to do.
Yeah.
But he was so annoying, dude.
This is the problem, though.
He
this
was
started
such a yes
this-
man.
But no, it started as an interview from the get-go,
Yeah.
which we hate. Which all I want to know is
Because this guy's story is interesting. Let me just
I
say
don't
that.
know what his story
That's
is.
all I wanted to know.
I have
Okay,
no
so-
idea
Care
what
about
his
anything
story
he
is.
talked about.
So I'm agreeing with you here in full on. Like
He
I
mentioned bits,
I know this guy's story, so I think it's
He's a comedian?
no.
but he came from Iran.
Yeah, he's from Iran. He joined the army. He came here. He's a successful guy. Like again, the card collecting, the interview stuff.
We'll get to that.
Sure.
But he was dropping Easter eggs the whole time about his life. Joe couldn't care less because he has dick in his mouth and was like, I'm having a great time.
Well, he wouldn't stop asking Joe questions. If he had, waited a sec and let Joe ask him some questions, then maybe we would have got some information. So I think they're both to blame.
And I wanted that from this one and from Cullen Hoback. Like that used to be a thing of Joe's is I'm interested in you. But this time I'm interested in telling you what I think because you're asking me such questions. And half the questions I don't want to answer because they're too complicated, too complex for me to form an
Well,
opinion right on the
most
spot.
of the questions he asked, I don't think he was actually looking for an answer per se.
Tell me, please. Please, Joe. Please challenge me on this. I would like to be challenged.
I want to be
I
challenged.
have my answer. Do you think AOC will be president?
No.
No.
Well, they do. You're coming down the road with her growing popularity, I could see it happening.
I mean, what do you do there?
She'll bury
though?
herself with
The
something.
hottest
What do
president
you
ever.
do there? You make Camilla the VP for AOC, or you just get rid of Camilla?
No, he's saying down the road,
be
like 8
12
years,
years
12
from
years,
now.
yeah.
Oh no! We
She's
need to
60
see
million
it happen
followers.
right now. Like, who's gonna take on Trump in the next election? It can't be fucking Biden.
They got nobody.
By the way, her
Nobody.
showing up at the Met Gala in that dress is like the Seinfeld episode where Elaine gets the box seat and shows up with the Orioles hat. Like, you're never getting...
I don't even know what this dress is.
She wore a white dress that said "Tax the Rich"
But the
at a
Met-
$30,000 a
Really?
seat Met Gala. Yeah, really.
But the Met Gala is so fucking she.
I understand.
I bet people were like, oh, fantastic.
I bet some were. I'm just saying,
Fashion.
if I'm the guy that's like, AOC, I have a ticket for the Met Gala, come dressed to the nines, and
Don't
she
shit on
shows up
us.
in that, I would be like, you fucking bitch.
Well, then she did the right thing then. They talked about how socialism doesn't work, but I think what we also know is that America doesn't help socialism work in other countries.
Okay, but
They're first to sanction a country, and like the reason why North Korea is horrible is because of sanctions. Maybe it'd be better if the states were like all's forgiven, trade, Venezuela.
I'm very confused though,
sanctioned.
because the democratic socialist countries all rank top in education, happiness, like Finland, Norway.
Well, these guys were talking about
Netherlands.
These guys were talking about how socialism never works. So they just
I know, but-
admitted all those.
But it's weird because
examples.
Joe acts like those countries don't exist. Denmark is a democratic socialist country.
The problem
Is
is,
it? I don't know.
It
problem
is, yeah.
Gavin
The
McInnes will
Netherlands.
tell you all those countries are all majority white as well. He'll make that correlation, but I don't. think
Okay,
there's
well, I
anything.
mean, I don't think correlation equals causation, but that might be a point. I don't know.
Do you think he has some weird questions? An ideal president
Mm-hmm.
should have money first. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you're a go-getter and you get into the corruption, then you're going out for money. But if money doesn't matter, does that make you a better president? I believe that's what his question was sort of.
No, I don't buy that.
You think there's an honest, some honest Ed out there who just
Well, just think about it like this.
slugs it out?
If you're dirt poor and you don't know how all the elbow greasing works, then you actually have a better chance of not being. Listen, I understand. Hold on. I understand the counterpoint of like, you're dirt poor. The first thing you try to do is get rich off your position, but I don't necessarily know if it would go that way.
But it just feels like AOC is the perfect example of that, and she's starting to get co-opted into, oh, this is how it works. I get it.
I mean, I look at AOC as a fame whore.
Cloud chaser.
Yeah, like I look at her as someone who wants to be in the public eye more than she wants to actually make the world a better place.
The number one quality of a CIA agent, go be a
looking.
bragger.
Oh.
Oh no, they want all those qualities.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Don't big up
Yeah,
your
never. Yeah,
accomplishments.
you're never at a dinner party like, hey, that thing in Uganda, that was me.
We took him out. Do you think the world's a better place because of the CIA or a worse place because of the CIA?
Worst place because of the CIA, 100%. Now, I'm not saying that they don't need some sort of body to do some of the things that the CIA was designed to do, but the CIA as an organization has never been good.
More bad than good.
All bad.
All bad. Except for that song fucking slaps.
Well, who knows how many more?
Well, that would be. I think if you got into a lot of money, that's what you should do.
Get into
Devote your life
songwriting.
and find out other CIA hits. And that'd be just a great life's work of yours.
I would love that.
I would love you to do it. I
would
know.
really love that. If I could really just put all my
Just
time
dig your heels in.
to trying to find out what hit songs the CIA has
Make a documentary and get on Joe Rogan 8 years after it comes out.
But
Yeah.
Joe's a CIA shill, so he would never have you on.
Well, who knows? Maybe Mike Baker's on there.
Mike Baker is due for an appearance, by the way, boys. Just by the by.
See, and that's the thing. When they talk about, when he says all that, does it not immediately make you think like, well, Mike Baker seems like the kind of guy who would tell you,
Tell you what.
No, we were saying the number one quality of a CIA agent is not being a braggart. And then I think you're implying that Mike Baker's a bit of a braggart. But I think he's a sluggo.
well, no, or what I'm saying is that he's the ultimate, like, maybe he himself wrote fucking Winds of Change, and he just goes on Joe Rogan and plays this like,
he's playing,
Scooter and
he's
Libby.
playing a
Of course,
dumb fucking behind the scenes. He's like waterboarding people in his spare
He's
time.
like James
That's
Bond.
what they want
secret
you to
James
do.
Bond.
First of all, he has no kids. Those kids are a cover story.
It's like Henry Rehnquist. He's a fucking. I heard that. That was great. little
me.
chest bump.
CIA chief disguise officer.
That shit's scary as
Back
fuck.
in George Bush day, put on something so real. This is 30 years ago, maybe more, that he thought he was looking at himself. What the fuck do they have now? I think of like The Saint and like Hunter Hawk, all these like. I would like to know. Like, you think it's Hollywood, but it's again the CIA. Maybe they're one and the same.
Well, and I wonder how many, like, you know, they're fighting against Saddam Hussein. That's just like a body double they replaced, and they're just playing out the chess
I think
pieces.
he didn't have
'cause
time to
that's
get
what
that
they do.
over there. I think they did get to kill him, but that's a great way out if you have money. Just become another person permanently.
Get fucking plastic surgery and just fuck off.
See ya, as like Jeffrey Epstein did.
See ya.
Joe admitted that if he learns about the aliens, he'd keep it to himself.
Yeah, I thought that was a real change
Fucking
of. 'Cause
shill,
he
eh?
said like 10 or 5 years ago, he was like, "Man, if they showed me, they couldn't show me because I'd come out here and tell everyone." Yeah,
Simon,
What?
someone gives you the keys to the garage. Says there's something there, but if you open that door, you can never talk about it. Wink.
wink.
What do? Are you like Joe? Do you, is it fine for you to know that knowledge for yourself and you can go on and live the rest of your life? Sorry, you guys don't know what I know, but at least now I know, because that was his point.
Well, do I have to become like a Julian Assange after that or whatever?
No, you just get to find out everything they know about aliens, but you can never tell anyone about it.
Or I don't get to know? Well,
you
no,
don't get to know.
I hear Joe's rationale there. Like, either way, you guys aren't knowing. You're not in the equation. In this thing, you know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
technically speaking, you have to then cease talking about aliens ever.
or I just continue with like a different narrative than the one that I know to be true.
Yeah, I guess.
So your answer is yes?
He definitely goes
I
and
would
looks.
go
What are you
and look.
I
fucking
go and I
nuts?
tell and I take the consequences. Be that whistleblower, the one guy. Fuck it, burn all down.
Burn it all down.
But do you think anyone would believe you?
No.
So would it be worth it?
That's very interesting.
Well, that's why that's what I always wonder.
Well, Bob Lazar did it because he thought his life was in jeopardy. That's what his contention is. He thought they were going to off him, and he thought the safest way to keep himself from being killed was to make himself a name, and make sure people knew his story.
Then they talked about the Milley phone call, calling it treason. Have you know about that phone call?
The what? Sorry?
General Milley. China was concerned that the states might be getting up to attack them because they don't know what Trump's doing, right?
Okay.
He's president. Milley calls, says, "Don't worry, we got it under wraps. Don't worry about that guy. It's crazy." And from the right, that's treason. This guy should be hung by a tree. From the left, Trump was crazy. Someone had to call our China and calm them down. What do you think? Like, he usurped the power. He's not supposed to do that. And I think you'd rather try to be on their toes than being like, "Oh, okay, the orange man isn't nothing to be afraid of."
Well, I mean, what's the point? It's weird to me that I find it weird in general that someone who has almost across the board no military experience, unless we go back to like Eisenhower, that they get to call the shots militarily. It seems like, what's the point of having a general?
Well, I imagine that like whoever the president is, they have like I'm president.
Yeah.
I go out there, I say something stupid. I have people who swoop in and like, so I go out, I say something dumb about Sweden. My foreign minister then goes over and they smooth over what I say. "Oh, Sweden, he wasn't serious. He didn't mean to say it." Isn't that pretty much what that guy is doing?
But he's not supposed to.
But maybe he was supposed to.
No, the
you're
commander-in-chief is commander-in-chief. The point is,
whatever.
it's the best example of cognitive dissonance. One side, he's a traitor. The other side, he's a hero.
I mean, I'll say this. He's not a hero. I also don't think he should be hung because that's... but treason, that's exactly it. That's the...
He's definitely not a hero because he was on the other team. So no matter what, he's a turncoat. You know what I mean? I guess.
He's on the military. There is no team on the military.
Well, they're on the president's team.
Yes, but they're not Republican per se.
No, but anything other than that, like
Those are
you're
the
saying,
teams.
is treason.
Let me ask you this though: if it let's just have this petri dish over here where this guy doesn't jump in, and the U.S. ends up in a war with China that they would obviously still be in. Is that a good thing?
If China actually weaponized a virus and launched it, then yeah. I mean, that's where we should be at, sort of thing. But
I'm not talking about that.
we're going hypotheticals here.
I said yes. I said hypothetically.
Well, I don't know what's going to stop China. Would that save Taiwan and Hong Kong and North Korea? I mean, maybe they have to have a war. I don't know, but I don't think Trump.
But
was
we know
about to
from
nuke
COVID that we would
China
lose a war to China, right? We know that immediately.
because they'd use chemical weapons.
Well, no. Well, first of all, toilet paper was an issue, so I don't see how they'd cut off all supply chain immediately. So we don't make anything.
No, I'm talking about literal war with like troops.
Yeah, well, still, but
Like dropping the bomb.
I don't know if the bomb works, but they just made a huge alliance with like England, United States, and India. Like India's a lot of troops, and they're close to China. So there's more people against China than with China. Mm-hmm. I don't know where Russia stands.
yeah, well, that's a problem.
Yeah, well, it is.
They
Anyways,
lost 50 million in World War II. They have no problem having a high body count.
I, in my heart of hearts, don't think Trump was going to attack China, and this guy Milley's a douche. And if you look at him, he looks like a douche.
I hear what Kamar's saying though. Like, if he doesn't say anything, maybe it doesn't start a war. Maybe it just keeps China on
their
their toes,
I
and they're
understand,
not
yeah.
like so willy nilly about the fucking virus factories they're running.
My question was simple: do you think he should be hung for it?
No.
Yeah. So again, that's what.
Maybe dishonorable discharge.
So Kamar, this is all I was saying was for me, I don't think it's one. I don't think it's one extreme or the other. I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Of course, that's how it really works in life. But I'm just saying, if you go on Fox,
Yeah.
you should be hung.
Yeah, of course.
If you go on CNN,
he's a
buy
guy.
his
Yeah,
book,
yeah.
and it's just.
Yeah, we know no news is to be trusted. Let's.
But they're both, depending on what your interest is, they're both true. They're both like, if you think Trump's crazy, then he did a good thing. If you think Trump knew what he was doing, he did a bad thing. Both things are right at the same time.
It's a real paradox.
There's no reason why Bernie shouldn't be able to implement that plan.
Well, they have to vote. They have to put it into Congress and then vote.
So that's what he does. I don't think he has to be president, though, to get that moving. You know what I mean?
Well, they would have to. The president would want to do it, right?
But I think.
Does Joe Biden know what he's doing? Anything?
But
he doesn't
remember
want anything from Bernie.
Remember the singing bill to get it to the floor. I think you need a certain amount of people backing it to begin with, and I think that's where the issue lies.
I think, though, Bernie could the idea is taking a fraction of every transaction in this credit default, whatever mumbo jumbo magical markets they do, anyways. They're just fucking with money. He could just make that his life work. I don't think he has to be president for that to come to fruition.
Yeah, who knows, Kamar?
That's-
Maybe it's not worth it to
don't know
him
anything.
unless
I also
he can
think
be the boss.
There's two big problems. The first is that Congress, by and large, doesn't understand technology, finance. Like when they were asking questions to Google, like, why does my iPhone? He's like, I don't know. I don't work for like they just don't. And finance is kind of the same, dude. I watched the 4-hour deposition of Robinhood when it happened in like March. First of all, half of those guys are bought because the questions they were asking were fucking softballs.
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen it many times, especially the Democrats. They're the
Yeah,
best. at it. But
that
the Republicans
whole,
do too.
It's so crooked. It's so crooked.
well, no, this is the interesting thing is like you're saying, I found on both sides there was a lot of people that were bought, and then on both sides there were a lot of people that were pissed off. So it was a very weird disconnect for me because I'm sitting here like, how do you guys represent different parties when half of you can't even agree on?
Because they're all bought.
Because
At the end of the day.
when money comes
I
into
understand.
play,
I'm not-
everybody's on the same team.
Well, no, I was actually surprised at how many were pushing back. To be fair, but
So then Patrick asked Joe, what do you think the with John of Afghanistan should have been done? Like, what? Who? Do you have an opinion? Would you have snuck people out and not announced it?
I have no fucking idea.
Well, exactly. But he asked Joe, like Joe was going to come on and said, well, first I'd land bombers to flank the airport. Like, it's a fucking clusterfuck of a mess of them being there.
Should've
no
gone-
surprise getting
yeah.
out was a disaster too.
Go back to why they're there in the fucking first
He
place.
wanted Joe to say, well, Trump would have done better.
what's incredible to that's definitely one. What is incredible to me is that there's still a photo of George Bush on a fucking aircraft carrier with a sign behind him that says "Mission Accomplished." Like,
Yeah, but wasn't that Iraq? That wasn't
well, either way, no,
Yeah,
not
Yeah,
even.
that wasn't Afghanistan.
Either
Of course,
way,
of course,
not
of
even
course.
close. Like,
It's just I'd be crazy if Joe said, "Well, this is what I would have done." Like I think I have no idea. Like, were you asking me?
yeah,
No-
because I hang out, because my bodyguards are ex-Marines, I have the best pullout plan for
Of
Afghanistan.
all the pundits and everything, no one has said what you're. You know what I mean? No one will touch that because
Yeah.
it was never going to be done well.
There's sorry, I'm just excited to get to like the fucking juice of this thing. you know?
I mean, keep in mind, you
It's
also
coming.
though did say in February or March, you were like, Trump wants to get them all out right now, and that should be done. And I'm not certain that would have been.
I think it would have been better than giving this all this notice.
Listen, who
But I
the
don't
fuck
know.
knows what
I
Trump
don't-
would
I
have
don't
done?
know.
Like it's
Nope,
all
I
what
don't know.
ifs. Fuck that. man.
Exactly.
We're not doing
Well,
that.
we know what he wanted.
Well, he wanted to get
He
them all
wanted to
out
say,
right away.
Yeah,
Trump
but-
would have handled it better. He wanted to go.
We know
he wanted to
Obama
go-
wanted a lot of things when he came in. Like things sometimes aren't a reality as to what the president wants, or if he really even wants it. Maybe what he was saying, and then behind the you know what I mean? Like he might have stalled it a long time for some fucking reason. Also,
Man, you are fired up today.
well, no, I'm just saying. Like,
I love it. Listen, I'm with you, bro. Keep going.
Anyways,
Billionaires, social media, governments, university. Do you rate him in that exact same?
oh fuck, I
List of
didn't
power?
like him doing that.
I don't like it.
The most interesting he said though is universities. It's 12-1.
Universities
conservative
are very
professors.
important. Like for
have a lot of
in
influence.
that. Yeah, listen, I told you guys I'm a big contender of to change history. It only takes 2 generations through your education system, and you can rewrite history in any way you want. Losers can become winners. Rapists can become heroes. Fucking terrorists can become saviors.
That's good. Someone take that clip, please. I want to get a new jacket this winter.
No, I'm telling you, like,
Yes.
very important.
Social media is the most powerful,
The most.
and it's not going anywhere fast.
We are suckers.
We are slaves to the algorithm.
We are part of a symbiotic relationship that we don't even know we're a part of.
Then
Just turn off. Just don't.
Somebody
use
should
it.
be writing all of these down.
it's being recorded. Patrick listed his most influential people. I was wondering if you guys agree with this list or thought there was someone else he's missing.
Who was his intro? I don't remember.
Number 1 was Joe Rogan.
What? I didn't even remember him saying
See,
this. Most
Yeah.
influential people in the world.
People talking, voices that are out there. These are the most important.
Number 1, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. I think the top list, Joe, is very important.
Couldn't
Russell
disagree with
Brand.
that more.
Okay.
Tulsi, Jordan Peterson, Tucker Carlson, Jake Tapper, and Bill Maher. You would say Graham Hancock.
I would just disagree with a lot of people on that list. Who I would put there, I don't know, but I definitely wouldn't put a lot of those people on there.
But take all those people away, who's having interesting discussions or making points? Because the one good thing about this list is it wasn't one-sided. You know what I mean?
This
There's
podcast wasn't
Democrats-
one-sided.
No, his list wasn't all Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, and Steven Crowder.
It was pretty one-sided.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard's
So that's one.
Democrat, Russell Brand's liberal, Jake Tapper's CNN, Bill Maher's.
Who knows what the fuck
Douche.
Bill Maher is? Douche. Yeah. I guess you're right. Yeah.
Joe has been pumping up Bill Maher so much in the last year. It's crazy.
No, but that show is, if you take it all the way back to, what was it called?
Real time.
Politically incorrect. Yeah.
The best is Norm Macdonald talking about being on the show. It's like, you're asking me about fucking politics. I don't know about politics. Like, ask the fucking general across the way. Like, what the fuck do I know? I'm just trying to make jokes. But we take for granted these discussions exist, right? Mm-hmm. And whether you agree with them or not, it's better that they are happening. And ever since I started to listen to Joe Rogan, I've just found discussions, not always about comedy or funny stuff, or interesting to listen to. I thought his list was pretty solid. I always think he may not know about, like, say, a Jake Paul or like they might become of the pipe or like a Mr. Beast. But these guys are going to become influencer billionaires. And I mean, Logan Paul has a podcast, and 10 years if he matures, it may be the biggest voice on the planet. You know what I mean?
I mean, I hope I'm not listening to podcasts then.
And also, this was because I had to listen to this twice to get him to drop a name. Because right before this podcast, the night before, he had dinner with Chaz Palminteri
Yeah.
from the movie
Bronx
A
Tale.
Bronx Tale.
One of my favorite movies ever.
And you know what we're doing this week?
All right, baby. I love A Bronx Tale. Hey.
She doesn't open the car for you.
The time has come again. For Matt and Simon, 2 racks of brains to guess the budget in the box office. We all know they won't guess the year, and the Patreons are the real winners here at the JRE Movie Game. Come on, take it away, baby.
Fuck yeah, Tyler, it's the movie game. Welcome back, everyone. It's a movie game where Simon and Matt go head-to-head to find out what year a movie came out, how much it cost to make, and how much it made at the box office. This week we're doing The Bronx Tale because he briefly mentioned that he had dinner with Chaz Palminteri, who I believe wrote the movie. Screenplay by Chaz.
Tell your father where you got the money.
And
600. Would you become a brain surgeon overnight?
it's a good movie. I think it sort of went under the radar.
This
of
is
all
the one
other
with De
movies
Niro,
around.
right?
Yeah.
With his
De
kid.
Niro plays the dad.
Yeah.
Robert
Yeah.
De Niro and Chaz Palminteri.
It's a great fucking movie, man.
If
Like,
she doesn't open the car door for you,
yeah,
she's out.
that's the test.
Dude,
that's
chill.
a big thing, the test. It just had some great fucking lines in it, man.
Directed by Robert De Niro.
Yeah, I think I knew that. Yeah.
Did not know that.
Tell your father where you got the money. $600 you've been saving? Would you become a brain surgeon overnight? That's the fucking.
And it's, what's her name? Rossi.
It's not. We've done this before.
Who is it?
It's what's her name? Oh, it's Charmaine from The Sopranos. I'm pretty sure.
Charmaine.
Don't his friends
Artie Bucco's wife.
Oh, really? No.
Don't his friends
Really?
try to
No.
extract some street justice and end up burning themselves to death or something at one point?
Dude, I saw this
Does it
movie
go?
like 15 or 20 years ago.
But you seen it. So it
Yeah,
qualifies for the rules.
I'm there.
I have a year.
I don't have a
Oh,
year
I
written
can't
down.
look it up because it'll
Yeah, you
give
can't.
me
Yeah,
info,
you can't.
but I want to
sully-
make
That's
sure we
fine.
go back to
Yeah,
that.
we will. We will.
Okay.
Here, I'll write a note right beside it.
I'm
here.
ready for the year.
Charmaine.
There's a play
Hold on.
first that came out in. I'm not going to tell you.
I don't think it's Charmaine.
Dad, I earned that money. That was my money. That's bad money. I don't want you to have that money. Dad, listen to me. People love you just like everybody loves him in the box. It's the same thing. People don't love him. They fear him.
Dude, that's a great line. Do you think Babe Ruth, or who were they talking about? Who was the baseball player they were talking about? Babe
Mick-
Ruth, Joe
Mickey
DiMaggio.
Mantle.
Do you think he cares about you? Is he going to pay your rent? But it's so true. Like people, they put these... Like
Fandom is a
like
crazy
they
thing.
care about fucking Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan doesn't know who the fuck you are.
He doesn't care who you are.
He's not going to
As
help
long as you buy
you
his shoes.
when you got to fucking...
He's going to inspire
rent
you.
your
He's gonna
scooter
inspire you,
at
though.
night.
He's going to inspire you.
I have a year. I'm way off, though, so I'll let you go first because you're probably
I
fucking...
said 1991.
Oh, I'm only 2 years off you. I said 89. Oh, it's 90,
It's
isn't
92.
1993.
it? Oh, wow. I was way off. I was way off.
Me
Way
too.
off.
Me
I just
too.
turned 18
I don't even
years
want to
old.
play anymore.
Found my first pubic hair.
If I can't get it, I don't want to play.
Why? This is the real test. The year
This
is just
this
like a bonus.
real
yeah.
movie game.
No, but I'm saying you don't get like. That.
Yeah, I know.
But you
The-
love the movie.
I love the movie.
You know it.
I know it.
This is a real movie game, not me out of left field trying to bring in something here just for the sake of content.
So, Simon, for the future, then, should we do the budget and the box office right off the jump? And then the bonus is the year?
Whoa!
Interesting.
I think we have to finish this year.
Chico.
we can talk about it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Wow.
you chill,
I like that a lot.
please?
It's like the tiebreaker.
Fuck, a budget and a box office for this is
Could you
going to
guys
be
handle things like
very
that?
difficult. Very difficult. 1993, huh? So, wow.
Carry the 2 plus 4.
I'm way off, but I took a guess, and I'm trying my hardest here.
Hey, man.
That's all you can do, right?
You only win this game every week because you don't care.
Yeah, this is really tough. This one. This is
Yeah,
really
this is
tough.
a difficult one.
Okay.
You drive penises over there.
I
You don't
think I
even put
got
dates.
it. I think I got it. Well, I got a giant penis and it's pointed right at you.
Okay, I had a budget of 18 million and a box office of 43.
And I said 22 and 67.
Well, this was a flop at the box office.
Fuck, I knew it.
$10 million to make and only made $17.3 million.
My reasoning on the big budget was that it was a throwback, right? So they had to do a lot of old
Like
cars,
scenes.
old
Yeah.
buildings, old, you know.
I think
Well,
only-
it's got De Niro in it
There
too. I
was
figured
no
like
CGI. Well, he directed it, so he didn't even take
I
a salary.
guess, yeah.
It
Well, you know,
was
you can't guarantee that.
it takes place over a couple of
Chaz
days.
Palminteri.
Okay, Charmaine, the mom, Charmaine.
It takes place over a couple of days, so there wasn't that much to do. And as it was not a box office success, it was critical success with
I suggest
critics.
that everybody out there go watch A Bronx Tale if you haven't seen it.
Should I hook up the Bluetooth and play that scene while that got us taken down? That scene is
I
fucking
wouldn't.
incredible. Say, Father, we got the money.
Okay, hold on.
I earned that money.
Milo Brancato Jr., Frank Capra.
Doing what?
Son of a bitch.
Doing what? Tings. Oh, you know, tings. What do you mean tings? What tings?
That's who
What do you
it
become
was,
a brains?
Matt.
It was Charmaine.
Charmaine Bucco.
Yeah, I knew it.
Joe Pesci was in it too. Oh yeah,
was a
classic
whole
Bronx
thing,
Tale,
man.
underrated.
Great
and that's
movie.
the movie game.
Great
Back
movie
to the show.
Game. Great movie game. Come on.
Yeah.
Way
We
to
really,
go,
we
man.
really shot the bet. I don't think either of us was anywhere near.
No, but it was a.
So I think
Solid
this is the
check.
point you've been waiting for.
Give it to me.
Patrick,
Is that his name?
Bet
Pat,
David,
yeah.
is 100% sure that Joe is the man
To start his
to
own
get the man
social
to start
network.
the competition.
And
I
Joe adamantly was like, you can take that and stick it up your own ass while you suck my dick.
But I think Joe was missing what he was saying. I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think he was suggesting Joe run the day-to-day operation.
I know what he was saying.
What
I
he
get
was
it.
saying was put your name behind this. Move to this platform. Let everybody follow you like the Pied Piper, follow me. You know that fucking old song?
Yeah.
That's what Joe should have done when he left YouTube in the first place, when he went to Spotify. He should have made it more of a fuck you, YouTube. I'm leaving you because you fucking suck.
Well, we found
and
out
you're
it was a fucking
Nazis
YouTube.
and or
Yeah, but
whatever.
He goes to the middle of the night. They're like, "Hey, Joe."
Yeah,
like,
I know, but
we
But
noticed
it's
you're
not
on
a
the
fuck
platform
you if it's
anymore."
not a public fuck
That
you. You
ex-
can't quietly like.
Exactly.
It's a fucking
And here's
passive-aggressive fuck you.
this
No, he
is-
like keyed their car in the night.
And this is what I'm wondering. Is it all because he didn't want to give up the money that he made from YouTube in the time of the crossover?
Well, not once
didn't
he
even know
saw
that was gonna
not
happen.
once he saw
You didn't
those
know that was
numbers
gonna
jump
happen.
up.
Once he saw those numbers jump up. No, but like he really should have just fucking. And again, look, I'm not trying to pick on Joe here, but it wouldn't have cost. It's no extra work for him. It's just let people see. It's what I've been saying the whole time.
Joe-
You need a Jay-Z. You need a Joe
Joe
Rogan.
was the hope.
Well, he should have done it there. He could still do it. Like to what you were talking about, Kamar. This guy wasn't suggesting that Joe run the day-to-day
Want to be on a board of
operation.
directors.
Just move over. Start posting there, Joe. That's where you're going to post your clips from now on, or whatever it is. Because right now they're on. I guess he can't do that because he has a deal with Spotify.
Listen, the
But
big
in 3 years he could do it.
the problem Joe has is that he has overlapping contractual obligations. That means he can't leave Twitter or Instagram. Like I said before, if he wants to, he should boycott all these things if he really wants to make a point and tell all of his listeners to boycott them. And that will make the biggest impact. But he doesn't do that because, again, he's got to deal with Traeger where he has to mention Traeger every once in a while and post like an elk shot and Traeger grills on his Instagram. You know what I mean? You even said like it doesn't look like he posts a lot on Instagram. And it
No.
seems like it's all...
But the only deals Joe should be making with any of these advertisers or any is stuff for his show. It shouldn't be what he posts on Instagram or anything like that. He could give up all of that. Like he says it's to promote his shows, but Joe doesn't need to promote shows like that anymore. Little guys need to promote shows. I'm with you. And I'm not suggesting that they all just abandon right away. It would be nice if they, if everybody migrated over there, but I get why some people can't do it, but Joe can. Joe has fuck you money. He said it himself.
I get
What's
it.
the point of having it if you're not going to use it?
Well, you're forgetting though, and I agree. He's in a position to tell them this is what you get or nothing. But what all these advertisers want from a guy like Joe is not just an ad on the show. They also want the social media bump. They want they want it all. And they usually have those deals. And again,
well, they won't be able to get that, and they'll still advertise on his show.
you're also forgetting though that Joe is human, and they're like, well, listen, we'll give you an extra $5 million if you push it on Instagram and Twitter. And Joe's human, and he's like,
I thought one of the interesting.
I get that, Maddie. He's human, but again, like, how much money do you need? He has more money than his family, his friends, everybody. He's opening a comedy store just for fun. Like, how much more money do you need?
I agree, but he seems to want more. I had 50 ads this fucking week.
And what this guy was saying, without saying it, because he didn't want to piss off Joe in any way, but he was saying, like, dude, it will cost you nothing to do this.
You sit here and bitch about this week after week, yet you refuse to put your money where your mouth is.
You are that guy who has to do that. I mean, Joe must think about this. Like, he's so introspective. No, he has to, man. He's a guy who constantly talks about how he's constantly thinking about himself. This must weigh on him. Not doing anything.
I disagree.
He's too busy, and whatever he does, he ges too into, so he knows he's got to avoid doing this. And it could be a colossal failure. I think the great white hope would be, not that it has to be white, but Mr. Beast. He's on the come up still. What I thought was sort of weird is when he described to Joe, because he used an analogy of Barack Obama got all these young black people. They were suits and they spoke articulately. I was blown away.
To me, they were all just street thugs.
I don't know, but you need someone to get the ball rolling. That's sort of started. I thought, obviously because he's not white, he can't be racist, but he sounded a little.
It couldn't be just Joe. It would have to be Joe and some other people, but like they could get together. There are enough people right now who are in dissent of YouTube who are big names that would come along immediately. You know what I'm saying?
Can I just give you an example just quickly? And it's just one. I know it's anecdotal, but I think Tidal is a good example of sometimes you can have all the money and names in the world.
Jay-Z didn't work out.
This is precisely what I'm saying, is you have the biggest names in the world all under the guise of we're trying to get artists more paid. You'd think, like you would have thought it would have worked, and it was a colossal failure. And it probably cost.
It's still going, isn't it?
Yeah, but I imagine how much money they're dumping into it. Now, keep in mind.
No, Quibi.
Sure.
Perfect example.
So all I'm saying is there's often people that throw big money into alternatives, and they realize quickly that it's a cash fucking cow not a cash cow, sorry, the opposite. It's a money pit where you're just throwing like endless resources into it. Eventually you hit a point, I don't know.
But this moment has put this to rest now. He got called out for it and said, no, I'm not going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Oh, it's a moot point.
He can move on from this for now and forever.
This farce.
As he turns around next month and starts something. I don't want to do it too fast. Does it keep sense to just keep vaxing? As you're saying, it might be the case.
Well, I will say this. People are acting like there haven't been booster shots in the past. That's
polio doesn't have a booster shot. You just get this
sure,
is not a vaccine.
But
hold on. But
there's
other vaccines where you do get a booster. So
no, vaccines usually is like you get it and then you build antibodies. This is not that. This programs your DNA to recognize something.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense to just keep going. Like, oh yeah, just keep the protection going. Or would it have been better if they had actually taken the time? Maybe they're still working on to develop what we understand as vaccine. Like you get it and it's done.
Well, I hope they're still working on that, and we'll do this in the meantime. And then when they figure out the one that just works forever, we'll take that one and we'll be done.
Because I think the best combination instead of these mandates would have been rapid tests, which we know they just have been neglected. So you can test right now and say, I don't have it. If you have the antibodies, as they've said over and over again, if you have antibodies, you're better than anyone vaccinated, or you're double vaccine. That's, I think, the compromise we should have. Instead of just vaccine or you're fuck your freedom.
So sorry, let's go over those again. People who have already got it,
yeah,
that seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
If we're all in agreement and all the doctors are in agreement that gives you immunity.
How do you prove that though?
You have an antibody test. It's $40.
Okay.
What was the other thing, Kamar?
I was going to
rapid test.
Well, rapid tests they should have anyways, even with vaccines.
So you could just go. You could go up to the concert
Well, in case
Get
there are
tests.
variants going on, there should always.
Well, no, but the point is, even if you're vaccinated, you could have it. So the test should be mandatory.
Okay,
But I mean, you
sure,
can't just like.
either way.
Or
But the question
offered
is,
or mainstream.
I mean, the question though is like this: if I go to Walmart, are they going to test me, and then I go to the next spot and they test me as well? Like,
Well, I think you've got the test is good for 24 hours.
okay, well, no, but these are the questions that have to be
Well,
asked. So I'm
you can walk into a Walmart right now, unvaccinated, COVID come out your ass.
I'm not against any of those things.
But and you are principally against mandating vaccines or whatever, vaccine passports.
yeah.
They are sure, like you say, there's no way we'll ever slip into a social credit score system.
I don't believe we will. No.
I don't know if that's a for sure or not. I have no idea.
Well, this is one of I don't want to say conspiracy, but the slippery slope discussion. Like you start here, it just keeps going.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
don't think that's possible?
If we use like 9/11 as an example, they took a freedom that they should have given back once the threat was gone, but they certainly didn't. They exploited it to the nth degree. The Information Act, right?
So you think there's a
The
potential
freedom
that
of it? No,
this-
not the Information Act. The terrorist.
Or what was it? Sorry, I don't know. It was the the Freedom of Information Act. It's
No.
where they could go in and get your info.
No, that's not the FOIA. FOIA is for the people. Freedom of Information
that's right.
Act
Yeah,
is
that's so they will give you the documents
precisely.
at a
Yeah,
certain time.
you're talking about the
whatever it was. We all know what I'm talking about.
the thing that implemented the Department of Homeland Security.
So they could go in and listen to people's phone calls and read their emails and whatever the fuck they wanted to do. Use
Hold on,
the
though.
data.
But keep in mind that's what you're talking about is a little. It's almost completely different. That's like. That's on the floor, like they're building a specific. It's just not the same thing, in my opinion. It's like when they pass that, that's a law they're passing. That was a sweeping, and they had it on the shelf forever.
They put that,
and
out,
that was the Republicans,
they put
by the way.
that out because after 9/11,
Yeah, I'm
they
aware.
were like, listen, we don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
We got to get all the information we can. So
Yeah.
just let us have this right for a little while so we can keep everybody safe.
Okay, but nothing is a law yet. Is there a law right now in Canada? I'm just curious.
A law in
involving vaccines or the passport. Is there any law right now?
Oh, I don't know. No.
Well, no, there
no,
isn't.
There is no law.
There's a fine for business if you let someone in who's unvaccinated.
But I mean,
It's
we
not
have.
law.
But
No one's
again,
going to jail yet.
if you run a dirty kitchen, there's a fine for that. So we're not all against that. That's not wildly overstepping yet.
No, I didn't say they had overstepped yet. I was just pointing out that
Yeah.
this has happened before where they take
It just is
and
weird.
don't
Return. It will be weird 3 weeks from now if I'm allowed to go to a place and some 6-year go, can I see your vaccine passport? Like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, what has happened? I know she's just doing her job. I'm not going to have shit, but it's going to feel weird.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. Like, if you go into a bar and the 19-year-old is working behind the bar and they ask for your ID,
I'm flattered.
Okay, but
it's pretty
46
much
years
the
old.
same.
but I'm just
fucking
saying is
thing.
like regardless of whether you're flattered
you just
or not.
want a drink. It's
No,
like
we know our positions here. I'm not going to argue with it. What I watched this last 24 hours, I don't think they should do this. I think everyone should say
I don't
no,
think they should either.
and
But
that's it. I'm not going to like come over and say, yeah, I guess it's a good idea to force people to do something or dangle a carrot to someone to do something. When I watched yesterday a 24-hour concert around the world, like the world is open up now with much lower vaccination rates than us. So they either have better healthcare systems or whatever, but they're willing to take the chance to go. Still events where you have to be vaccinated and stuff, but there was like hundreds of thousands of people in areas. And it just looks weird where we're still like in our fourth wave. You know, like people are not in waves anymore. They're back to normal. And one of the big things of this concert was to defeat poverty, good cause, and fight the climate change. But the other thing was they said 3% of Africa has been vaccinated. Yeah, that's an uphill battle, right?
you said so many different things there at the same time.
I just said we are still like scared of COVID. Most of the world is back open.
But we're open
functioning.
too. Like, what? How are we not open? I don't get it.
Are we? I don't know. 'Cause
Also,
I'm
hold
not
on.
allowed to go
Here's
out.
my
I'm not
question.
allowed to go out.
Let me ask you this though.
You're not allowed to go out. Yes, you are allowed to go out.
I'm not allowed to go to a gym. I'm not allowed to go to a concert. I'm not allowed to go to a movie. I'm not allowed to go.
Okay, but I want to ask you this question because you do this often. You keep saying like the rest of the world is open. Where are you hearing this that you believe
Close
it?
my eyes. I'm just watching, like Paris, Los Angeles.
Okay, but you constantly.
New York City.
But I'm saying is
They're
like
constantly talking about Los Angeles having like the craziest restrictions.
I
What are
know,
you
but they
talking
were at the
about?
Greek Theater. Was open last night, packed full of people.
But the Blues Fest is open here. They had a
But
big
you,
concert.
but you have to be double
like-
vaccinated.
so you don't think you
But
had
do
to be
they have to
vaccinated
be
at the Greek
vaccinated
theater?
there? They do. You do.
Yeah.
They have a whole fucking
And
passport.
I don't-
I'm confused, man.
You're not confused. We disagree about something, and we'll never agree about it.
I'm confused as how we hear the same information from Joe Rogan about Los Angeles, and you're pretending like it doesn't happen, and you're seeing something different.
In one breath, you say mandating people to go to something is not right, but it's what they're doing. So it's
Lots of things they do aren't right.
okay.
Like,
Then you either believe it or not.
But
There's
Kamar,
no
my point to
talking
you is
about this.
okay, fine.
Is there though? Is like
No,
you
But
guys-
again, listen, I
imagine-
realize you have the notes, but it just doesn't get. You just don't get to say I don't want to talk about this, and then we just move on.
Well, or are we going to get to a point where I go, oh, you know what? I think mandating vaccines
no,
is a good idea.
it's
No,
true.
we're not trying to get.
Do you know what I mean?
I'd also rather not.
I'm
talk
not
about
trying to get you to say shit, Kamar. That's the problem. Is you think we're trying to force you? I don't give
No,
a shit
you
what
want
your
me to
opinion
understand
is.
your opinion.
No, I want you to understand that there are plenty of things that are mandated to
Yeah.
you that you have absolutely zero
Yeah.
problem with, and you don't think your freedoms are being impinged upon, right?
Okay, fine, sure.
Well, no,
Yes.
but see, here's the problem, Kamar, is you don't want to have a good faith argument where you
I
can't.
don't. I do not want to have an argument at all about this. There's no good faith argument if you disagree. Like I don't see it the way you guys see it, so it's not an argument that we'll argue this for the rest of time. You know what I mean? I don't think it's right to tell someone what to do.
That's not what we asked you.
period.
That's not what he's saying. He's saying you do realize that there are lots of things out there. They tell you this is the way you have to do it, and you just do it.
Like you have to get a license to drive a car.
a million. I can give you a whole list of them, but this one is the one you've decided to stick your heels in the sand on.
no, lots of people have decided.
But hear me
You
out.
as well.
Even then, Kamar, not only do you, when you get a license, you have to go, you have to pay money. They take your photo, they put it in a government database that it writes your address on it, it has your height. Again, you don't feel like that is impinging on your freedom. I'm just trying to get.
The only way this will ever be resolved is if 10 years from now there are social credit scores, and then you guys say, "Wow, we were wrong," but it may be me who's wrong. That's all I can say.
Well, again, I'll go back to the fact that
discuss this because I know your position. You know my position.
Well, yeah, I've just said it before. We've had vaccine passports before. They went away.
Yeah, in my
And I
lifetime,
don't know if what is your position? Because in the end, you just got the vaccine. You know what I mean?
and
So
that's why I didn't want to do it. So you could never say that. And now I'm fucked. So.
But
that's a weird
But that's
position
not
to
why
have,
you
too.
didn't do it. You did it because you want to do comedy. It has nothing to do with
But
me.
I didn't want to do it because I was being told to do it. That was the sole reason. Not because I'm afraid of it or whatever. And I envy people who are holding out.
Those are the only people I can respect.
exactly.
Like
So
people who are willing to lose their job
Yeah,
over it.
so you
that
don't
I can
so you
respect.
don't respect me, that's
No,
fine.
Kamar,
It's
if
just stupid.
But Kamar, if a
enough.
doctor tells you that your heart is going to fail and that you need to get a heart transplant,
I can choose not to. Then no one can make me get it. They
Yeah,
can't
of
say
course.
You can't go to Walmart anymore unless you get this heart
Yeah, but a
transplant.
doctor's telling you like you have to get a new heart, and
Yeah.
you're just happy that you have the choice. That's what you're
Yeah.
saying. That's weird.
Okay,
But
let's move
fair
on.
enough.
I don't understand how you guys keep going on this. Anyways, yeah, so the point was people who say fuck your freedom is like, it's crazy that people are saying that, and it's like they feel righteous in saying that. You know what I mean? Like Howard Stern or Don Lemon or whatever, because that's the argument back. When people are saying out loud, fuck your freedom, it's sort of scary, but it's under the guise of like, it's for the best of everyone. Correct?
There are okay.
No, it's scary that people are saying that, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary that I can't drive 300 on the highway because it's dangerous for the rest of us. It's actually scary. I saw a video the other day. Kamar, just hear me out. Hear me out. I saw a video the other day from 1986 where Americans were being mandated. Seatbelts were mandated. That was the year, 86. And there was Americans screaming about how their freedoms were being taken away. Exactly all the shit I'm hearing today about seatbelts. Now, again, if you don't want to wear a seatbelt, guess what? You don't have to.
I'm vaccinated, so like it's a moot point. But I'm watching people still yelling at people on the internet, get vaccinated, you selfish bastards. and they look like assholes to me. They don't look like concerned citizens.
Guess what, though? We also have listened to 10 podcasts in the last 2 years, all about how everything on the internet is not what it seems, right? So those comments could be China,
No,
Russia.
there's people I know.
Okay, well, fair enough.
It's just, you don't know who.
I think you're looking at it. They're looking at it the other way, right? Like why?
Absolutely.
Like you're the asshole.
But why am I an asshole?
Why are they assholes?
Because they're telling someone what to do. I would never tell someone what to do.
Are they telling you what to do, or are they like imploring that you do what's best for everyone?
You wouldn't do well in an intervention. That's for goddamn sure.
Okay. Like,
Well, no, I'm just.
if you guys, I personally think you guys are like sort of a minority. You know what I mean? Maybe all your people you hang out with agree with you, but I know other people who like agree with me or disagree with you. No one's right. Everyone is just doing what's best for themselves at the end of the day. And
Okay.
we don't have to talk about it
I
anymore.
don't talk about this to anybody but you.
Exactly. And
This is the only place I
2
talk
weeks,
about this.
I'll never have to talk about it again. And you can put it in my face every week if you want. I hope you don't. Trump versus Obama. That would be amazing. No?
No, that would be terrible.
I think it would be a disaster, but it would be great to see.
I would say like versus though, but not mediated and not. Trump cannot be running for president, but you don't think there'd be like a legitimate.
No. Wait, do you think it's like the meeting of the minds? Is that what you think? Because like Obama is a
He
well-educated,
should
well-spoken
he should
guy.
Run ruckshaw on him, but maybe.
But I think Obama has so much to answer for that, like, it's not like he's going in there as a clean.
No, listen, every president for the last 50 years should be convicted of war crimes. Okay, probably end of story. Trump listen, Obama dropped so many fucking drone strikes. Trump doubled them, just like Obama doubled them from Bush. These guys have all the amount of blood on their hands is staggering. All of them. And we're no better.
Are there any two minds you think like this with this guy? It's sort of like versus.
Yeah, I know what he was talking.
In
Yeah.
his idea. I think I would like to see Trump, like especially if he goes, if he were to be like, you still don't think I was born in America, or like call each other out for this shit.
But let me.
If he's not running for president, neither have anything to gain or lose.
But come on, I mean, we've seen Trump debate. He doesn't actually debate. None of the points come up. He calls people liars and then he calls them names.
No, it's definitely. It wouldn't be a debate. It'd be more like a discussion. Like you really fucking like after the fact. Of course, it won't be a debate.
So then, okay. I mean, again, you're never going to get me to come to your side here. I don't think it's a good idea.
Are there any minds you would like to see? Like,
I think we see them often.
no, the debate is bullshit, right? Like the debate you see on TV.
No, I'm talking about on YouTube. There's a lot of open forum,
like-
long
No,
but
conversation.
not- big
Jordan
people.
Peterson and
Yeah, I'm sa-
Sam Harris.
But who's
like,
a-
there's two guys
we
with
saw
totally
how
different.
horrible that was.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
Well,
those
that
happen all
one-
the time. Is my point. You're just saying you want presidents to do it. Is what you're saying.
Well, but he suggested it, and I thought it was a good idea. I don't want anything, and I'm just saying, I think that'd be cool. I don't think the moderator would be right because that's what happens at the debates.
I just think that like it would have been better if Obama had only had one term. If he had only done his first term and then they had that debate. But because the second one is just him like going against all his like that's all Trump's going to focus on. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. As long as Trump is still alive, it doesn't work because he's got interests. He'd probably want to own him. Had he had 2 terms, and then they were just like kicking back.
Both dumb. Yeah.
Because he raised like $8 million for them to do it, which they could have donated to charity. So it'd be a good thing.
I mean, I think the better question is if Obama, like, he ran on the campaign of being the best for whistleblowers and then is the worst for whistleblowers.
Yeah.
And all of this happens on his watch.
Yeah.
And everybody still just talks good about Obama. He was a fucking terrible president. Like Joe
He's the
should
best
never
we've
say
seen,
a
though.
goddamn good word about him because that is a travesty.
I mean, in Joe's
He's
defense,
the
all he
best
really
we've seen,
says,
though.
all Joe really says is he was a really eloquent speaker and he was the kind of guy that you wanted representing your country
Yeah.
as far as a front.
He
I think-
murdered more fucking foreign
innocent people, yeah.
than anybody else, and he lied. Straight up fucking lied. And not about his birthplace.
They all lie.
Yeah.
They
I was just
all
going to
lie.
say, yeah.
That's even Tucker Carlson. They all lie.
Yeah, this one is especially heinous to me because
Hold on, Kamar.
a president like Obama should be building those people up, not tearing them down, you know?
But
Kamar,
we always said
for the record, I'm not surprised. I realize Tucker Carlson lies. I was surprised as shit that he came out openly and said it.
he was the only one honest about lying. But the way you showed it, it was like the graphics. If you watch the actual interview, it doesn't seem like, you know what I mean?
But I watched the interview and I still found it. That was the best clip where it wasn't like some asshole talking over it.
You can't say that. If you're going to say that, then just fucking retire from your job because...
he was saying I lie in life, not like I lie on the show. He said, I try not to lie on TV. He goes, everyone lies. Like, I lie. I don't want to lie.
No.
I
What he said
definitely
was...
try not to lie on TV.
I think you should watch it.
Yeah, you should watch it.
I will.
That's the only way. But if you watch your clip, it's like the eye rolling and graphics and stuff sort of.
I only watched 10 seconds of that clip because I just couldn't find a full clip of it.
But it just sways you. If you look at the conversation, it doesn't seem as.
It
seems almost honorable that he comes out and says that.
I mean, again, it's funny because that's just two differences of opinion. I was, again, flabbergasted that what I heard him say, and I watched the whole thing, was, yeah, I mean, I lie on TV. I gotta lie on TV. I lie in life. I don't like lying, but he didn't make it seem like, oh, I tell my grandmother thanks for the socks when I'm not happy about the socks.
That's what I thought of him, but you got to watch it to make your own opinion.
I felt more like he was like, listen, sometimes you gotta fucking lie occasionally to get the right point across, and it doesn't feel great, but you're lying for the greater
And I thought
good.
that was more stand up than people who just lie and tell the truth. And we got, platforming people. The fear is that they don't want people to go on Joe because they might look reasonable. You know what I mean? Like humanize a Milo or a Gavin or whatever. Like that's the reason why people get mad about shows that have people on. That's the biggest fear.
Well, I mean, it's rightfully so. He had War Machine on, and I bet he seemed like a great guy.
But what harm does that do?
I'm not saying you're missing my point. I'm not saying it does harm. What I'm saying though is it can paint a charlatan in a brighter light than they maybe should be painted, because Joe is sitting there going, yeah, you know what? You actually are making some really good points. And there are people out there that are really stupid that are like, well, Joe Rogan makes a lot of good points. And this guy said he's, that's all I'm saying.
But you're a reasonable person who's an adult who can decipher for yourself and get your own feeling.
Not all the time though. I mean, come on, you know what?
But do you think it's dangerous platforming people? I mean, I can't even think of any. I think everyone's canceling them. Maybe Alex Jones is.
He was on Tim Pool this week.
Yeah, it was all right,
he
but they
was
kept
fucking wild.
teasing it.
He was fucking
with
wild.
the payroll, which is very interesting. But my point being is, people would go crazy with Jordan Peterson, or I remember I didn't even understand what was happening. Ann Coulter was supposed to talk at Ottawa U 8 years ago, and people lost their mind. But I just don't. I think the fear is more irrational than the damage platforming someone could do.
Listen, I've said it before. I don't think anyone should be deplatformed. I don't think anyone should be fucking silenced. I agree. Fight bad speech with good speech. Nothing we're doing is working anyway, so I don't think it matters.
Well, they're trying. I thought it was interesting when he asked about Carlos Mencia, and Joe said, "I wish him well."
Joe said that a bunch of times.
But I thought that was more like Trump and Ghislaine.
Like, you hope he dies, yeah. Hope you rot in fucking hell.
Do you know what I mean?
I think it was a different kind of wish.
I know what you think, but I'm just saying, I'm drawing an analogy.
Where the fuck is Ghislaine? Just side note.
Oh, we spoke about this last week. We're waiting.
Like, it is crazy how things.
She's with
like,
Epstein.
You know how people say, "Oh, news cycle came in and out of the news cycle." Like, human beings, and I'm guilty of this. I'm not singling myself out. We're pathetic.
Oh, dude, all you got to do is disappear a white girl for a few weeks, and people will forget about what Palestine, huh? Well, dead indigenous people. What are we talking about?
I tried. I'm glad you guys didn't care about that story last week.
What
That's
story?
that TikToker that went to
Petito, she was a TikToker. It was your boyfriend we're trying to do. Anyways, we talked about it last week.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Learn to give credit to your enemies, which I think is always like, when you watch the fights, and anyone with any sort of class will be like,
I'm not your enemy.
he said it.
No, I know. I'm just reinforcing that fact. I am not your enemy.
Okay. I never said you were.
All right.
Whenever teams win, they always give like, oh, they fought hard. You know what I mean? It's a good thing to have than to, like, I guess.
My favorite part of the UFC is the sportsmanship when it exists.
So when Michael Smith 2 weeks ago or whatever, like, beat him up, and then it looks wrong. You know what I mean?
I just love when two guys who were talking shit, like vicious shit for a month leading up to it, then they have a 5-round fucking barn burner, and then at the end it's like hug. I don't know. I like that.
Yeah.
Give credit to your enemies.
It's just jealousy. It's what I hate the most about myself. Like, that's my number one fucking thing I hate about me.
Yep. I feel
Give
that. I
credit
feel
to
that.
And
your
that's
enemies.
all it is. You can't give credit to your enemies if you're jealous of them, because then you just want to bring them down.
So then,
We got to move on too. We got to finish this bad boy.
yeah, I'm just trying to. Joe goes, anything you're interested in, I want to talk to you about, unless it's playing cards or NFTs. Because he tried to talk about it, I was like, I really don't care about cards.
Yeah.
So, but I'm super. He was explaining how invested in stuff. He was into it, and Joe's like, I don't have time for that. And then 5 minutes later, he goes, hey, I just want anything you're interested. I'm interested in. And
Let me point this out too. Joe could probably fire up this fucking social media platform by selling like 15 NFTs of his old art.
no, he told him
I know.
5 times you
Yeah.
could have $10 million in a
I know.
month of the NFTs.
He just, look at Jamie. He sold a fucking tweet NFT for like
But it's
thousands
like,
of dollars.
when you're describing that the baseball card, because it's certified, that this company, you got to go 12. Like, it's explaining the beauty of the NFT.
Joe,
Right?
Yeah.
he
The
didn't
security, the proof.
understand.
But they own it. Like,
I can just print it up off my computer.
we do know on the day you make the NFT, if the gas fees are crazy, it could cost you $10,000 to make your NFT, or it could cost you $400 to make your NFT. That's a crapshoot. And then if you have no one to
Well,
sell
it's not a
to,
crapshoot though. You can always check the gas fee, right? So you can just wait.
if I had something to NFT, I would take it. I would spend $500 to make. Like, I
course.
get
It's a
it.
no-brainer.
It's worth it, and it sets the value immediately. So you don't go in the world like, how much is my NFT? It's at least worth this. And then if someone else wants to pay for it, you're off to the races. I'm not a smart man. I get it. I just don't see how Joe doesn't understand
He
it.
just doesn't want to understand it. There are some times where Joe just gets like obtrusive, I think is the word.
Obtuse.
Sure.
But generally, if someone's interested in something, he goes at 2 hours and 43 minutes. Joe
can't-
asks
well,
him,
you can't be obtrusive.
Maybe.
I think you can be obtuse.
Okay, sorry.
2
Listen, I'm not a
hours-
fucking English major. I'm a high school dropout.
at 2 hours and 43 minutes.
Yeah.
Joe asks him, so what do you do?
I never got an answer to that question.
He asked about the podcast and stuff. It was a really heartwarming moment. And then I think I heard Joe say he felt the turning point for the podcast was Graham Hancock.
Yeah, not Sam Harris.
You
yeah.
always say it's Sam Harris. Like, when did it? We were just talking shit with the buddies, and all of a sudden, and he says Graham Hancock.
That's when it changed for Joe.
Yeah, I think as far what I
know
mean is
when
as
it
far as
changed
guests.
for the rest of the world, it was Sam Harris. That's what opened up the rest of the guests. Getting Hancock on didn't get him Elon Musk. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think when he had Hancock on, for him it was an eyes open moment.
Exactly.
Like, this is the direction I should be going, is interviewing like maybe people more outside of my realm and things that I'm
interest
interested
me,
in. Yeah. And then what I meant was like Sam Harris opened up all the doors, because once he had Sam Harris on, Sam Harris went to other people in that intellectual dark web and was like, you can go on and talk to this guy. It's not what you think. It's not the Fear Factor host. You know what I mean?
It's how he ended up with what's his name there, his biggest fan.
The Weinsteins, I'm pretty sure, ended up there
the
through Sam
Weinsteins,
Harris.
but also even
Lex.
Lex, exactly, like a guy like Lex. You
Well,
know?
for my purposes, it's now Graham Hancock.
Fair enough.
Because I
Fair
heard it now
enough.
in 2 years. And Tom Papa was one of the episodes that was
Yeah,
getting
so
taken
weird.
down.
So weird. I
Ran
wonder
o-
what they said.
I think it was Big Bread.
Big bread.
He was talking about making
Yeah,
your
you
own
should all make
bread.
your- yeah.
Like, we
That
can't
was
have
the
this.
final straw for Joe. It wasn't a freedom of speech thing, as they kept fucking with Tom Papa.
Yeah, you're fucking with my boy Pops.
And then my last thing was, I thought he said he just ghosted YouTube. He pulled a Barry Sanders. You know, Barry Sanders
where
retired.
He said, "I'm just leaving, and you don't
No,
have a chance."
he didn't say
to-
anything. The coach called him and goes, Barry, we're a week into training camp. He was like, yeah, I'm a good coach. Barry, what do you mean? He's like, oh, I'm done. No fucking announcement.
But was he playing somewhere else?
No,
he just-
Barry only played for Detroit. Only.
No press conference. No, I'm out of here. Just like,
No, he played for San Francisco.
Barry Sanders?
Oh, Barry Bonds. I thought we were talking about.
Barry Bonds is an asshole. Barry Sanders is a fucking champion.
Yeah.
Well,
Barry
who
Sanders
retired?
is a legend. Well, they're both retired.
No,
now.
I know, but who were you telling a story
Barry
about?
Sanders.
Barry Sanders, not Barry Bonds.
Not Barry Bonds, yeah.
So Joe,
He wasn't with you there at all.
Joe, we don't notice any posts on YouTube. Is everything all right? Because they found out when he announced Spotify. I thought that was a fuck you. Maybe you want him to be a little more
I don't want him to be. He can be whatever the fuck
complaining
he
about
wants.
it. I think it's playing the game. Is he was more frustrated with YouTube than he ever let on and will ever let on.
I'll put it to you this way. If Joe Rogan wanted to make a point, he could have made a point. You're saying he did by leaving. All I'm saying is this. Dave Portnoy lost an employee, a low-level employee, to the Statue of Liberty. He has written letters. He has gone on an all-out assault on the Statue of Liberty. Or, sorry, the Empire State Building. Now, all of it's a joke for content, but my point is Joe could have even just written a strongly worded letter to all of his listeners.
I think
I am leaving YouTube, and I believe you guys should leave as
I
well.
think it may be a lesson of that you don't do that. You don't burn a bridge or something. 'Cause
Well, maybe. Listen, that's why I'm broke.
That's right. When you want to keep making money in the future, sometimes you have to not burn bridges. But in Joe's case, where he doesn't need any more money,
true.
and he's able to help humanity, who is clearly about to be taken over by fucking AI cyborgs, and fucking Joe is Neo and has a chance to battle against the Matrix.
Did you just say
and
Joe is Neo?
refuses
What is
to
happening
do
here?
it.
Oh my God.
Like, come on, that's the comparison. It's like Neo saying, "Yeah, no, I'm not into it. I don't want it. No, give me the steak. Give me the steak."
Joe, I love you.
Dude,
You
I'm
owe
on
me nothing.
fire.
Rate it,
Fire
boys.
this week.
Oh, I give this one a 2. Not 2.5, whatever.
I mean, I'll give this guy a 5 for what he was trying to do.
Oh, I thought you.
But
the 3-hour dick
episode-
suck.
But the episode got a 1.5.
Okay.
2.5. And we found out about Mr. David Patrick Bett,
Patrick Bet David.
whatever his name is.
David Patrick Bet.
How we learned about him. I think it could have been much higher because he was speaking my language.
Listen.
he was going for some home runs.
Listen, I like the guy. I listened to his podcast. I wish he had gotten into his. I think Joe would have really appreciated his story of
I think-
hard work.
I
And
think so too.
Either way, I can't believe how awry this podcast went.
Well, it was his podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of comments are really hyped on it, but they said this is like he was on your show.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
that's
was.
exactly
yes,
what
it was,
it felt
yeah.
like. That he was
Just
on
without the other two guys.
show.
All right. Well, that was an episode of our show. Thank you so much if you made it this far. Wow. Give yourself a nice pat on the back. We, of course, want to thank BetDSI, our sponsor for this episode. If you go to BetDSI, is it .com or .eu? I know in Canada it redirects you to .eu, but I think in the States it's BetDSI.com. Use the promo code JOE100, and you're going to get a 100% sign-up bonus. So they'll match your deposit. If you deposit with Bitcoin, you can get 2 deposit bonuses. There you go.
So if you deposit 1 Bitcoin, you get 2 Bitcoins?
No, if you deposit, first of all, if you
You're
deposit 1
gambling,
Bitcoin,
one
you're
Bitcoin,
fucking baller. Yeah.
Send it out to me first, and I'll send it back to you in a week.
Yeah, so thank you to them. Shout out to BetDSI. We have an Instagram and a Twitter. It's at JREE Podcast. You can follow Kamar on Instagram.
At Kamar Babar.
You can follow me on Instagram at Floydy, Floyd with 5 E's. There is a YouTube if you want to watch the show. You can see our ugly mugs. It's youtube.com/JREE Podcast. And the Reddit. You can go to r/JREE Podcast if you want to join in the conversation. Feel free to do so. You don't have to, no pressure. And then, of course, the Patreon, where you can support the show for as little as $5 a month. Go to patreon.com/JREE Podcast. And for that $5, you'll get the post show. It's the show after show where we shoot the shit. And you will also get the backlog of old episodes of This Won't Age Well, the show where we went back, we listen to old episodes, and we do what we do here.
No longer mandated.
There you go. The mandate's off, folks. That's it. That's an episode. Thank you so much for listening. Does anyone have anything to say in closing? What an episode. A lot of minds were changed today, let me tell you. A lot of progress made. That being said...
Fucking lions.
That being said, thank you so much. We hope you have a great week. Enjoy your weekend, and as usual...
Keep your eyes open.